what's your emergency?
Welcome back to That Weewoo Show, a podcast where we usually watch and discuss episodes of the ABC show 911, but this week we're watching and discussing an episode of the Fox show 911 Lone Star. I'm Bex.
I'm Alice.
And I'm Ellen.
And we have reached the crossover episode, where
we have
Buck, Eddie, and Hen taking a trip down to Texas to join the 126 down on 911 Lone Star.
Yeehaw.
So is this just like wee-woo? Like,
yes.
Is that literally what it is?
Yep,
just
it's
911.
Wee-woo yeehaw. Yep.
But with cowboys.
Yep.
Okay. I'm down.
With cowboy, yeah. There's one of them.
I didn't get that from this watching one episode, but okay.
Is that Judd? Judd's the cowboy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does have a little bit of a yeehaw accent. Anyway, yes.
This is going to be a very different episode because while, once again, Ellen has never seen this until we made her watch the episode. I have watched Hold the Line, which is the name of the crossover episode, and I've watched maybe 2 episodes of Lone Star, and then I said no, and I noped out. So I don't really know what's going on either. Alice is the resident expert on 911 Lone Star, have you seen the entire series now?
The entire series, yeah.
Okay.
So I dragged my feet through all of season 1 with my ex promising me that it got better. And as soon as I got to season 2, I continued to binge it. So yes, it did absolutely get better.
I know you were holding out on the finale, but you've seen that too now, right?
Yes, I believe I have. Yeah. I'm like, did I? Yes, I did watch the finale. I have this horrible habit of not finishing TV shows. But no, I did finish Lone Star.
Okay. So Ellen and I are going to plot our way through this episode, and we're going to rely on Alice to give us sort of the context and the background on what the hell is going on in this episode. Because it is not the best crossover episode in the world. But we'll probably discuss that a little bit more at the end of the episode.
The best crossover episodes.
Well, I think that they could have done a much better job than the way they did this one, but I think that there's a reason why they did it this way, and we'll get it into at the end.
Well, before we start, I enjoyed having only come at it from one side, not knowing anything about the Lone Star side. I really enjoyed the bits that, at least Buck and Eddie parts. Like, the Hen parts were great, but, like, I don't know if it was Hen's best work, like, you know, in terms of the emergency itself. But, yeah, we can get into that. But,
yes.
Yeah, from the 911 LA side, I thought it was all right. But, yeah, maybe the crossover didn't work for everybody.
No.
But we can get into that. So
we can get into that.
So this is episode 2, season 2, episode 3 of Lone Star, titled Hold the Line. This is from 1st of February 2021, which aired directly after the future tense episode of 911, which we spoke about last week.
Yes.
Yes. So last week on 911, the 118 were called to Texas to help battle a wildfire.
Yeah, that's literally all that happened in that episode. No.
Well, that's all.
There was a lot.
There was some other stuff.
Yeah, we'll go back to that next week. Yeah,
but it's not relevant. The relevant part was that there's a wildfire that may or may not have been caused by the eruption of an dormant. It was extinct, but Tim Minear upgraded it to dormant volcano in Texas. I went back and watched the previous episode. There is still no official connection between the wildfire and the volcano, but I'm going to assume that that's what caused it.
No one's sure. It's fine. Just keep going.
Okay. And the Texas Fire Commission put out a call for like all hands for help, and the 118 put up their hand, and so Buck, who had his name on the roster for like emergency call-outs forever, is thrilled to go. He has to take Eddie with him because, you know, that's part of just their relationship, where one goes, the other one goes. And then Hen, who despite being the parent of 2 kids and in medical school, decided that she was also going to go.
Well, the pay would be really good, so...
I mean, the pay would be really good, but she's got a lot on her plate already. It would have made more sense for Chim to go because he doesn't have anything on his plate yet, but I understand that... No, I don't actually understand why it was Aisha and not Kenny. Except maybe Kenny took one look at Rob Lowe and went, nope, I'm not doing that.
He's got a very pregnant wife at the moment. Well, she's
girlfriend.
not extremely pregnant, but, quite pregnant.
But he can't do anything, so now would be the perfect time to go out and make that cash.
Yeah, I guess so.
He did ditch her for a long time, so maybe she's like, you're not fucking going to Texas with Buck. And he's like, yeah, fair.
Yeah, okay.
Should we do the official summary for this episode?
Sure. So this is the crossover, as we've already said. The 126 is joined by the 118 crew from Los Angeles to fight an out-of-control wildfire. As a wildfire spreads across Texas, Evan Buck Buckley, this is his nickname business, Evan Buck Buckley, Henrietta Hen Wilson, and Edmundo Eddie Diaz from the 118 firehouse in Los Angeles arrive in Austin to help Captain Strand and the 126. As the crews race to save a group of teenagers trapped by the fire at a campground, Owen and Hen fight for their lives in the aftermath of a helicopter crash. And the triggers, the first one being Bex's specific trigger, which after watching it, I can totally understand, is Rob Lowe. But we actually have wildfires, hallucination due to traumatic brain injury, kids at threat, references to wilderness therapy, which we can talk about later as well, images of burns, child abuse, firefighters at threat of fire and suffocation. We have references to 9/11 and references to Hen's ambulance accident. Quite a lot in this episode, actually.
So, interestingly, when I first started paying attention to 911 via Twitter, which was during season 4, I was very confused because I'd seen a lot of ads for Lone Star and I couldn't work out where Rob Lowe fit into the 911 universe, and then found out they were 2 different shows. They were just under the same banner.
It's a franchise.
Yeah,
when did Lone Star actually start? During 2020?
During season 3.
Season 3.
911.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
this is season 2, and obviously, original 911 is in season 4. But yeah, I watch a lot of Parks and Rec. It's on one of my rotation. It's one of my rotational shows that I sleep to. And so, Rob Lowe is obviously in that. And so I, had seen the ads and I'm just like, oh, that's what he's doing at the moment. But also, funnily enough, I worked with a guy whose name was Rob Lowe.
Oh.
And so every time the ad was on, at work, I worked in an electronics store, so we had TVs everywhere. We weren't just randomly watching TVs at work. Every time the ad was on, we'd laugh because we're just like, oh, look at you, fighting fires, rah, rah. Yeah, turns out they're 2 totally different shows. But yeah, it was very confusing when I had only seen ads, hadn't actually seen any of the show, and was just like, oh, I don't understand, where why do I never see these firefighters that I see all over Twitter in the ads for Rob Lowe's show?
Actually, you know what? I remember being in a similar position with the 2 shows, not that long ago, fairly recently, around the time when Buck got together with Tommy, in later seasons, and everyone was so excited, and they were saying representation, all that stuff. And I was like, isn't there already gay people in this show? There's already a gay couple in this show. There's guys who are a couple in the show. And I'm like,
TK and Carlos. Okay.
That's the other show.
The other show, yeah, that's it.
So I don't. It was very confusing for people who don't watch
yeah, that's it.
Clearly.
Whereas I didn't know of the existence of Lone Star until I found out there was a crossover episode.
Oh, there you go.
Anyway,
interesting.
It gets into the drama quite quickly. How do we want to do this? Do we want to actually talk about Lone Star at first? Or...
Yeah, I'll do a summary of Lone Star. So if you have watched Lone Star, you can skip ahead a minute or so, I guess. But But if you haven't seen Lone Star and have just come in just for the crossover,
and you have no idea what the fuck is going on, which I think was most of us,
this is for you. So, after an explosion wiped out nearly all of the original 126 firehouse, New Yorker and 9/11 survivor Owen Strand was recruited to lead a new team of firefighters in Austin, Texas. His crew include Judd Ryder, a gruff cowboy who is the only survivor of the original 126, TK Strand, Owen's only son, an openly gay man and former drug addict, Marjan Mawani, also known as Firefox, a viral sensation known for her recklessness and Instagram fame, Paul Strickland, a trans man known for his intelligence and bravery, and Mateo Chavez, a kind-hearted former delinquent who tries to see the best in everybody. Also in the 126 is Tommy Vega, paramedic captain who has newly returned to the job after taking several years off to raise her twin daughters. Unlike in California, paramedics in Texas have their own department and captain. So Tommy leads her own team alongside Captain Strand.
Right. Which I was unaware of, and so it confused me when, later in the episode when they had to recruit Eddie as the paramedic, because none of them were paramedics.
Yeah.
Although apparently TK is dual paramedic firefighter because he was dual qualified in New York.
Yes, that comes in later in Lone Star too.
I just went on the wiki.
Yeah, because TK is from New York, he was paramedic trained, so he, spoilers for Lone Star if you do decide to watch it, he actually jumps ship and goes into the paramedic team later on. Because they're down one. So season 2 of Lone Star, which is not explained in this crossover at all, started off with a bang. A volcanic eruption wreaks havoc across Austin and resulted in the death of one of the 126 paramedics, Tim Rosewater, and it happens in front of Captain Strand.
Which is how we start the episode.
Yeah, we did work that out. I worked that out fairly quickly, but I mean, we never find out how this person died.
No, they never mention, they don't really mention who he is. They don't mention how, what happened.
No.
It wasn't until Alice wrote this summary that I went, oh my God, that's who the dead guy was.
Yeah.
Did not understand.
Yeah, I mean, I figured it was someone who had died recently and right in front of Owen.
Yes.
But no further detail is given at all.
If I remember, I was going to rewatch the episode before and then didn't because I was busy with Righteous Gemstones. But if I remember right, Tim was literally tending to a patient and talking, and then this big block of on fire debris just takes him out right in front of Owen.
Damn.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is quite
quite traumatic.
Quite traumatic. But so Lone Star's very diverse. The reason that they give in the show is that Owen's specifically told to build a more diverse house because the firehouses in Texas were known for their lack of diversity.
To the point where it's specifically said in the pilot that they had civil rights come down on their asses.
Yeah.
And the other houses are too slow to pick up on diversifying their crews. So they see the 126, which was, wiped out except for Judd, as the perfect opportunity to build a diverse house as the flagship of, look, it can be done.
So they recruit from all over the country. So, except for TK, who just follows Owen. So Marjan's very known on Instagram, and the others, there's not really, it's just Marjan and Paul, really. Because Judd's already there, TK follows Owen, and Mateo is also already there. So, yeah.
But cool. Mateo wasn't a firefighter, because the whole thing with Mateo is that he wants to be a firefighter, but he can't pass the damn written test.
Yes, so he starts as a probie.
Because his, so all of them have labels, and Mateo's is that he has dyslexia.
Yeah, he's dyslexic and he is...
Latino?
Let me double check, yeah.
But I mean, even Judd, who is, the survivor of the 126, who looks like your good old typical Texan Southern boy, his wife is black.
Mateo is Mexican.
Yeah.
and isn't actually a citizen, which is a whole other
Oh,
storyline.
so we've got an illegal immigrant on the team. Excellent.
Yep.
Very diverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, Judd, who is, you know, white, gruff cowboy, his wife is black and is the 911 dispatcher. Really sad that she's not in this episode because Grace is one of my favourite characters in the show. But she's also not in the final season, so that's also shit. And now that Bex has seen Saving Grace, she is also mad about it.
Yes.
No spoilers, just in case anyone actually wants to keep watching Lone Star after watching
Look,
this.
if you watch this episode and want to watch Lone Star, absolutely, like, it does. I do enjoy it, especially after season 1. I didn't enjoy at all. As soon as Gina Torres comes in, I binged it. Like, I love her so much.
She's great. When she came on screen, I was like, oh, she's from Firefly.
It's Zoe!
I know she's in heaps of other stuff too,
She's
but
in so much, yeah, that's
She's
it.
always going to be Zoe Wash.
That's
Yeah,
it. She's
definitely.
amazing. So as soon as she came in, I was just like, yes, I'm in. I will watch this entire thing.
yes.
But yeah, like the other cast, like the rest of the characters get so much better, and then there's Owen.
Yes.
But yeah, TK is also dating a cop. Well, yeah, he's just a cop in this season called Carlos. And so yeah, there's more diversity because it's a gay cop whose dad is a Texas Ranger, but he's also not in this one. So
Yeah. Well, they couldn't have too many characters on screen at the same time. The televisions would explode.
I mean, they can barely explain who these characters are, let alone all of the secondary characters.
Yeah.
they can't have Carlos and Eddie on the same screen because it's too much pretty. All right,
Okay.
so I guess let's get into it.
Let's get into it, and then you can explain shit as it comes up, I guess.
Yeah,
'Cause
pretty
it's-
much.
Right, so we're going to start with what I have realised is a dream sequence flashback to the previous episode, where we see paramedic Rosewater's untimely demise.
Yeah, so with no explanation.
Oh, is that what's
Yeah.
going on? I was very confused.
Yes. But then it's a dream sequence within a dream sequence because Owen is dreaming about the evening when he watched Rosewater die, wakes up, goes to the bathroom to like refresh himself, and when he looks up in the mirror, paramedic Rosewater in all of his dead glory is standing over his shoulder. And then Owen wakes up again, and this time he's in reality, and he is in a tent.
It's like Inception.
Well, it's not Inception. I'm not going to give him that much credit. It is real this time. He's in a tent at the base camp in the wildfires. And he's been woken up because apparently the winds have shifted, which is absolutely detrimental when you're trying to fight a fire. And the one thing that I really noticed about this episode that I've got a question in here because I was not going to watch any more episodes that I had to, was the colour of this episode. It's incredibly orange and it's incredibly desaturated from what we're used to with the bright, vibrant colours of 911 Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Alice, is this the normal colour scheme for Lone Star, or did they just drop the saturation and up the orange because they're fighting a wildfire?
I'm just going to double check, but it is definitely more desaturated. But the orange is the wildfire, but it's definitely usually more desaturated. It's almost like they have a filter over the whole show.
Which, if they're trying to represent that, like, the air is filled with smoke and the sun is, like, filtering through the smoke, which turns everything orange, it's very realistic, it's very effective. It's just very shocking when you see it after, especially if you've just watched Future Tense, which is, very bright, and then you come across to this one and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, it's definitely more desaturated. Like, the colour toning is much different from 911 OG. But yeah, the orange is specifically the wildfire.
Okay.
Yeah. And Owen is like filthy. He's like covered in soot. Looks like he's been at this for a little while already. Mm. He speaks to somebody and asks, how long was I out? And the person said, almost an hour. It's like, oh my God.
That's all he needs.
Functioning on no sleep. That's all he needs. So at this point, as each new character comes on the screen, I'm looking at them going, is this someone that I need to know about? Like, does the usual audience already know this character? But
yeah, like the chick, Molly, do we know her?
No.
No? Okay. I will say, for those of you who know my usual rule, which is if a character is name dropped, then I will name them. Otherwise, I won't name them. I'm throwing that rule out because I have no idea who these characters are, and I'm relying on the transcripts and the closed captions to tell me who they are.
So yeah, then we get a bit of exposition where we cut to a reporter talking about the San Angelo fire. So it's been weeks long. The officials are now saying the blaze has consumed more than 180,000 hectares with less than 5% containment. And the resources here in West Texas have been stretched to their limits, so help's now arriving from neighbouring states. And then we get a convoy of fire vehicles making their way down into the hills. So yeah, we got fire companies from Oklahoma, New Mexico, and as far away as California, who are sending equipment and manpower to aid in the fight. And then we cut to the 118 engine truck.
And we all cheered.
They very much close up on the 118 and basically like point to it.
Because the segue is that the reporter is saying that the arrival of all of these engine trucks and ladder trucks has to look a lot like the arrival of the cavalry. And then as we see the 118 pull up, it sort of stops on the passenger window of the truck where Buck is fast asleep with drool smeared all over the window. And it's like, this is the cavalry?
It's very much how like they were rushing to the scene in the episode,
yes.
like 2 episodes ago, and they were just in the elevator.
In the elevator listening to elevator music, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair,
they've driven in the truck all the way here. Oh my God.
It was, Hen said 20 hours. Google told me it was going to be about 22 hours. So she must have shaved a couple of hours off the trip. But yeah, that's a long way to drive. I'm not surprised that he's fallen asleep.
Yeah.
And through the desert too. Like, yeah. It's not fun driving, I don't think.
No.
So Hen wakes Buck up, and as Buck climbs down, he's immediately smacked in the face with the air. So he like specifically says, what's up with the air? And Hen's just like, the wildfire, that's why we're here. He's like, no, it feels like getting slapped with a wet towel. So then we get Eddie, who is a Texan, and he's like, yeah, it's called humidity. Welcome to Texas. And then we go to the title card.
So not only welcome to Texas, Buck, welcome to Texas, everyone. After the title card, we cut to the official briefing where Deputy Chief DeLeon from the San Angelo Fire Department, who is the acting incident commander, is welcoming everybody. But while he's talking, Buck is doing he's not even trying to hide the fact that he is staring at somebody off to his left.
Yeah, full on, just staring.
He's just like, his head is completely turned to the side. He's flat out staring at Marjan. To the point where everybody notices and calls him out on it. Like, Hen tells him to stop staring. And when he argues, I'm not staring, Eddie chimes in and said, yes, you are staring. And then you cut to Marjan, who is standing over with TK, who notices Buck staring at Marjan and leans over to her and says, that guy's staring at you.
And then, when Mawani looks over at the 118, Buck's just, like, looking at the sky and, like...
And I'm like,
yeah, he
don't look suspicious.
And, like, we know Buck. We know that I guess the possible implication is that he's staring at her because she is a Muslim woman. And, like, maybe they're pushing the, Buck's bigoted. But you know that there's something else going on in his brain.
No, I thought it was just because she was pretty.
I mean, there is also that.
She is pretty.
She's very pretty. So while Buck is trying his best to pretend that he wasn't looking, the incident commander, who should be like in charge of everything, steps aside to let Captain Strand give a motivational speech to the troops.
Yeah, apparently Captain Strand is the operations section chief.
Which I would have thought that the incident commander would have been like the one to give the motivation, but Rob Lowe is the one that needs to have all of the lines in the episode, all the attention on himself, so he's going to give, and it's like there's even like the stirring music coming up underneath to like really tug at the heartstrings. He doesn't say anything interesting.
No, one last shot to turn the tide. Cut a containment line. Okay, off you go.
Yep. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's about it.
Buck is still staring at Marjan to the point where Hen threatens to call HR on him. And we finally get a reason. He's like, I swear I know her from somewhere. He's just like staring at her, hoping that the cogs would click over and would make sense. It hasn't yet. So he just looks super creepy.
Yeah, super creepy.
So while that's going on, we have the chick. I don't know who she is. I don't know what her role is. But she comes up to Owen and says, we have a situation.
And Judd also follows them over to somewhere else where they have a conversation. And this is the point where I realised that this was Judd, because I knew that he was Judd because he's in Supernatural.
Yes, he's
like,
Dean Siren in Supernatural.
He's the guy from the Siren episode. And it was funny because later he's talking to somebody and he's way taller than them. I don't remember who he was talking to, but I'm looking at him going, he looks freaking huge. Like he's a broad-shouldered dude. And, well, it could have been that the person he was talking to was short, but I just remembered him not being that huge from Supernatural.
He's 6'3". He's like
so
Jared
it's just
height.
because...
He's a big boy. Yeah.
It's just because Jared Padalecki and Jen Snackles are gigantic themselves that's why he didn't look so huge.
He looked normal in Supernatural.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, he's a big dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're talking about. So there's been a bunch of kids up in the forest who are camping, 8 kids, 1 counsellor, and they haven't been in contact. So they're asking if they can get a chopper up there, but it's too dangerous. So someone's going to have to go in and find them.
Yeah. So it's a camp for at-risk teens. So the kids aren't allowed cell phones, and yeah, they can't get an engine up there because the roads are all on fire, and Judd's like, well, you could go get to it with ATVs. And I used to ride around on ATVs in woods just like this growing up. So, like, I'm happy to help. And so they appoint Judd strike team leader.
And then one by one, the others will volunteer. So Owen says they're going to have an 8-man team and take a medic with you. And then behind them, they get Eddie piping up and saying, I'm a medic. Eddie introduces himself. But... they ask him if he's a paramedic and he's like, I'm just a firefighter, but I was a medic in the army. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Wait, yeah.
Are you not a paramedic?
This whole time I assumed that because they had Eddie operating in paramedic roles in the 118 that he was like Hen and Chimney. He was a paramedic firefighter.
Yeah, like he's treating people all the time, like in a medical capacity.
Because he was a medic in the army, he has more medical knowledge, but he hasn't actually passed the, like, paramedic side of it.
But wouldn't that be, like, a legality issue when you've got someone who doesn't have current qualifications acting as a paramedic?
I guess it's like, you're CPR trained, you'll do. And they do specifically say take a medic, so, like, he's not...
No, they say that because none of them are medics. Like,
but yeah,
as you said, they have separate paramedic teams, so they would have to go somewhere else to find a paramedic because apparently there are none on site. But so it works out that Eddie is there and he can come in. But I just assumed that they went, when he started his firefighting training, they went, it's like that prior learning sort of stuff. When you're at uni, they go, okay, you've already done these courses, so you don't have to do them. We're just going to assume that all of that knowledge is known, and they'll fast track you through the paramedic firefighter part.
Yeah, who knows?
Well, there are some things in this episode that they get wrong for the OG 911, so I'm choosing to believe that they got it wrong this is one of those things that they got wrong, that he is a dual firefighter paramedic. That's my little world that I'm going to live in.
Well, he's never in the ambulance.
I don't know. Anyway, he goes with them.
Anyway, he goes with them.
They roll out.
Yeah, Judd specifically calls him Hollywood. And yeah, meanwhile, Buck is just like hanging around the 118 engine truck.
I think he's unpacking and getting all this shit out.
But he's all on his own. And then Hen appears and he's like, where have you been? So Hen took a tour of the medical unit, asks where Eddie is. And Buck's like, I don't know. You guys abandoned me. Why did we drive these trucks all the way here from LA just to park them? And Hen's like, the only way up to the fire line's by foot. And it's like, well, why are they here? But yeah, it's so that they can be used as they see fit.
Yeah, they're going into a motor pool.
Yeah. So Buck's not happy about the idea of strangers on his rigs. And Hen's like, no, there's no strangers here, just grunts with shovels. So she throws a shovel at him and he's like, yeah, well, where's yours? And she's like, oh no, I volunteered for Base Camp Medical Unit. But have fun, bye.
Yeah. At which point, Eddie comes back and Buck's all like, oh my god, where the fuck have you been? Can you believe Hen's abandoning us? She's not going up on the fire line. And Eddie's like, I'm not going up either.
Yeah.
Well, actually, he doesn't get a chance because before he can say anything, Marjan rolls up in an ATV and just says, you ready, soldier? And Buck, I don't know whether it's the fact that Marjan is there, that she's talking to Eddie, or that he's realised that Eddie is not going to be joining him on the fire line, but his mind is just blown at this point.
He's so shitty. He's like, you're going with her? And Eddie's like, yes.
I would also just like to point out that they have had a slight uniform change for going down to Texas, and the grey marl is really working for Eddie.
Oh, like,
yes,
the filter that they put on this episode makes them all look so pretty.
It makes them look so pretty, but, like, the light shirts, the navy shirts are good, but you can't kind of see the definition, but the grey, you can see the definition of the muscles. I very much appreciate them.
Texas very much suits Ryan Guzman.
I swear I'm done, I swear.
It's okay, you can thirst, it's fine.
She's not done, it's fine.
She's not done.
Buck has finally figured out where he knows Marjan from. The penny has finally dropped. She is Firefox.
She is Firefox.
And Eddie and Hen both just look at him like, and? Who's that? But apparently he follows her on Instagram and she's gone viral like 5 times.
He's so sad though because he follows her and she won't follow him back.
Oh,
for some reason.
For some reason. But yeah, Buck's very mad at Hen and Eddie for abandoning him.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like, abandoners. So inside the tent, we get Captain Strand having a FaceTime conversation with Gina Torres, whose name is Tommy. I don't know. I didn't know what her name was through any of this. Like, they say they call her by name, by her last name at one point. But I never knew that her name was Tommy until you guys mentioned it later. So
yeah, I think he calls her Captain Vega at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had no idea what was going on in this scene. First time I watched it, I'm still not entirely sure I understand the purpose of this scene.
Yeah, well, I didn't even connect that. So he's talking to her about paramedic Rosewater's funeral, which was today. And for some reason, I didn't make the connection that was the person he was seeing in his hallucinations.
Nope, neither did I.
I didn't. He was just apologising to her for some reason. I'm like, okay, this is an episode that we never saw and I don't know what the connection is, so...
Yeah, I also didn't understand why he thought that it would be such a big deal for Tommy that this guy was having his funeral today. And that why she, would be struggling and he needed to check in on her. Like,
funnily enough, Tommy just came back to the job and Rosewater was just like, oh, I don't even want her here. And now he's dead and it's just like, okay, bye. It did not affect me at all. I was like, okay, see ya, you were kind of a jerk.
Yeah, so basically Owen is calling her to check in because he was a paramedic and she's the paramedic captain. He's assuming that she's going to take this death really hard, but it actually seems like he's the one that's taking the death really hard, and it's all very much he's deflecting his own trauma on her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she clocks that at one point. She's like...
Literally, like, Tommy's like, I don't care, but you're the one that had the guy die in front of you, so, like, are you okay?
But before he can answer, the chick comes back. And it's like, you wanted this stuff. I've got this stuff for you. And he's like, oh, thank God, I can end this call. I don't understand what we got from that scene.
It was just to be like, hey, look, Tommy exists. Because we paid her for this whole season and we should probably use her.
Well, I guess it's showing that he's struggling with whatever happened, but I didn't really work that out until much later when he starts seeing the dead guy, so I don't know. And he just goes, oh, I gotta go, and then he just hangs up. He doesn't even
literally
say
hangs up on
it's
her.
like,
yeah.
Okay, bye.
Let's go back to some more fun stuff, where we've got the strike team heading out to find the campers, and we've got Judd and Eddie in the ATV, where Judd is all set to absolutely ruin Eddie, but for being some kind of fancy LA boy, until Eddie reveals that actually he's from El Paso. So he is a Texan.
Yeah, and Judd immediately is just like, oh, where'd you go to high school?
It turns out that they were in, like, the same football... I'm assuming that it's football. That they were in the same kind of football league, and they, like, they're two
Well, it
schools...
was state. Like, they compete as a state, so, like, through state high school things.
I don't know. But their high schools played against each other, and Judd's team would whoop Eddie's school's team, like, every year. But he looks so thrilled, like he's found a new friend.
Yeah.
And then the other two race past them and, like, whooping as they go by. So...
Marshawn's whooping. I'm pretty sure Paul's just hanging on for dear life.
Yeah. Paul just goes along with the flow. Paul and Marshawn are best friends, by the way.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
And Eddie's like, is she always like that? And John's like, yeah, always. I guess that comes with the Insta influencer territory, right?
But she's not really an influencer. It's just more she posts a lot on Instagram.
She's known for doing like dangerous things just for likes.
Okay.
She's a bit of a hothead.
But it's not like she's, getting sponsorships and doing paid posts for cosmetics or, the latest, like, whatever soda is popular.
Yeah, she's viral. She's not really an influencer.
Yeah. But they make it to the camp. They find the kids, except they can only find 7 of them and no adults. Because apparently the 8th kid, JJ, was off doing his solo, and Mr. Gomez, the camp counselor, went to look for him and never came back.
So Moani asks what a solo is, and Judd immediately answers, yeah, it's 2 nights mandatory alone in the woods. It builds character and self-respect, but it's usually pretty well monitored. And Paul's like, you know that how? And Judd immediately changes the subject. So yeah, he asks if Mr. Gomez has a cell phone, but there's been no call in 8 hours, so it could just be bad reception.
But it's not, because as they're checking over the kids, Eddie notices Mr. Gomez walking toward them. He's, like, wrapped in a blanket. He's wheezing. He looks to be in terrible shape. He couldn't find JJ, but it looks like he got into trouble himself because he is not breathing.
Yeah, he's not in great shape. He collapses. They ask where JJ is, and he says he couldn't find him. And that's where Eddie's like, yeah, he's stopped breathing.
Yeah. So Eddie takes over and does his non-qualified paramedic stuff. He's putting, like, he's getting fluids into him, so they grab an IV bag and they put him on a picnic table, which is nearby, to lay him out so they can get to him more easily. And then they they can't hear any air. Like they reckon his lungs are intact, but he's not. His chest isn't rising when are they giving him like EAR or anything at this point? Like they're not.
No, they're just listening.
What's
they're just
happening.
listening to him, and noticing that he's struggling to breathe. Like there's no sort of inhale, exhale.
I was trying to remember how they work out that his chest is constricted, because if he's not breathing, it's like.
Oh, I think the magical ability they have in LA to just look at somebody and diagnose them, it's followed Eddie down to Texas. And since he's like
Apparently
the ranking
so.
paramedic in this scene, he gets the ability. But they do also like cut his shirt off and reveal that he has even though his shirt seems to be perfectly intact, he's got severe
I was wondering that. I was like, how did his
I don't
chest get
understand
burnt?
how. Yeah.
When his shirt's fine.
I don't know, but it's got like very deep.
My only assumption is that he got like close to the fire, and so his skin.
No, but the shirt
Surely
should have done something.
Surely
as well.
the fabric.
No, because like when you're in the sun for a long time, right? Your shirt doesn't catch on fire, but your skin still can burn. Like you can still get second-degree burns from the sun.
But he's got like full thickness burns under a perfectly intact shirt.
Yeah, the fire's hot. It's fine.
Maybe he breathed in hot air.
Anyway, so they have
from
to
the
cut his
inside.
chest.
Yes, for the drama. For the drama of the reveal of them cutting open his shirt, revealed that he's got like full thickness burns, and Eddie informs us via Marjan that the burn tissue is called eschar, and it is constricting his chest. It won't expand when the lungs fill up. So he's struggling to breathe. So they're going to have to cut through that burn tissue to give his lungs room to move. And they're going to have to do it now on the picnic table.
Yeah. Oh, they do have a bag. Yeah, so that's how they worked out that there was nothing filling his lungs, because they did bag him and it wasn't doing anything.
What, you mean like trying to give him extra oxygen or something?
Yeah.
Okay. And then they get him ready, and Eddie says, he looks at Marjan and he goes, "I hope you're not squeamish." And I'm like, oh no. Like she's like, come on. And I'm just like hiding behind my fingers.
I just found it incredibly ironic that the incision that Eddie makes is he does the like traditional autopsy Y incision, which is what we saw Hen doing in the previous episode on an actual cadaver.
Yeah.
Well, not Hen doing it, but like the people around Hen, and she was participating in it. So I just found that funny.
Yeah.
But it works.
Eddie didn't faint.
No.
And he was doing it on a live person.
A live person.
Yes. Oh my god. And it works. I don't know whether it's the fact
Probably
that
smells like barbecue.
Ew. I don't know whether it's the fact that his lungs now have room to move, or the pain of being cut open while he is still like anesthetized, but it works. And Mr. Gomez wakes up, and his first word is JJ. Like, where the hell is JJ?
And they're trying to say to him, like, take it easy, take it easy. And Marjan says, "Nicely done, Diaz." And Eddie goes, "You too, Firefox." And it's like, hang on, you didn't know who she was a minute ago. You're just taking this knowledge from Buck now and claiming it as your own knowledge. But, I mean, we can sort of assume that that's how Eddie operates. Like, Buck just tells him random weird stuff and he just takes it in, for later.
I mean, he did say in the last episode that, sometimes he can know the weird stuff. So, I mean, it's possible that he knew who Firefox was, but I assume that, he's just absorbed that knowledge from Buck.
Yeah, he's absorbed
and he's
it
using
from
it to make himself look good and to forge a connection with her. And then, speaking of Buck, we go to see what he's doing. So while Eddie's riding around in ATVs and performing emergency surgery, Buck is
Digging.
with TK and
Digging a fire
Mateo,
break.
and they're holding the line.
But Buck is reenacting Disney's holes. I'm tired of digging, Grandpa.
Well, that's too damn bad. I mean, he's not they're not digging down. The purpose is they're
No.
removing the vegetation and they're loosening the soil. Because the soil, if it's loose like that, there'll be more it's easier to use it to throw on the fire, and it also absorbs the fire and stops the fire from sort of going further.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so they're digging.
And just like Judd was like digging for information from Eddie about being in LA, Mateo is also fascinated by the fact that Buck is from LA, but for a different reason.
So Mateo has a cousin in LA called
You don't
Marvin.
say. Really?
And he's like, oh, people say we look alike. Maybe you know him. So the joke here is that Mateo is played by the same actor who played the car thief that Athena arrested in season 2.
I think it's
the
like
start of season 2.
Episode 2.
Yeah, it was just before the earthquake.
Yes, it was the earthquake. Yeah, so it was.
Yeah.
The beginning of season 2.
The beginning of season 2. It's the same actor. They liked him so much they shipped him down to Texas. But yeah, so they look very alike because they're the same person. But yeah, so Buck's like, yeah, it's kind of a big place. And Mateo's like, no, I know. His last name's Chavez. Buck's like, yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, Mateo explains he's in jail anyway. And then they start talking about their crazy calls. So Buck's like, yeah, you have no idea, but TK is like, yeah, we get our fair share here in Texas. And Mateo's just like, oh, you ever get a call in Disneyland? And Buck's like, that's Orange County.
But I just think it's funny because the two different shows obviously have the same level of dramatic everything.
Oh, yeah.
But it just happened that they just needed to, one-up each other in terms of what happened. It's very cute.
So Mateo's like, oh, but like Orange County's LA, right? And Buck's just like, yeah, sure. And yeah, so apparently that's the only place they don't go.
Yeah, so we're always wondering like how far out does the 118's kind of sphere of responsibility go? Apparently not Orange County. They don't go
not to Disneyland.
They like when they're initiated into like the 118, Bobby takes them up on the roof and is just like everything the light touches is our kingdom. What's that
dark
shadowy
place over there?
That's Anaheim. We don't go there.
No, we don't go there.
You must never go there.
But the mention of Disneyland prompts Buck to go, oh, well, we did get called to an amusement park once. I had to scale a roller coaster because there was a guy hanging from it by his bare hands. And I'm watching this going, Buck, that traumatized you.
And they're like, oh, you saved a guy hanging from a roller coaster?
He's like, actually, no.
Yeah. Did you forget how
good job, Buck. Good job.
Buck. But thanks for bringing that up.
But then that prompts TK to go, oh, you had a guy who let go. Well, I had a woman almost drown on me in less than a foot of water. She was trapped in a bus.
Upside down in the middle of the street.
And then Buck's like, oh, you had a bus rescue? We had a bus rescue, but it was sticking out the 5th floor of an office building. And
Mateo's looking between them, just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And TK's just like, yeah, we had an active volcano last week.
It's like, put it away, boys. This is not the time nor the place to be measuring. And I'm pretty sure based on your like comparative sizes, Buck's going to be bigger.
I thought it was just a cute, like, bonding moment between all of them.
Oh, no. TK was like, he's trying to like get one up.
He's
on
eyeing Buck up and down this whole time.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, while Buck's saying, yeah, I saw something about the volcano on my Twitter feed, TK looks up the hill and realizes that a car which is on fire is rolling down the hill and is heading straight for them. So he slams into Buck to knock him out of the way, while Mateo dives to the side because TK is just like, yeah, screwed that guy. I'm gonna save the pretty one.
Save the pretty one, yeah. But it's not just that he slams Buck to the side. It takes him like a meter or so of running, and then he launches himself into Buck to knock him off to the side.
Not the pretty face.
But yeah, the car on fire, like it came
I don't get
from,
this at all.
Yeah, it came from the hills. The hills were on fire what the fuck is a car doing up in those hills?
Yeah, well, I mean, we find out in a minute because a dog jumps out of the driver's seat, and I'm like, what? Did the dog drive the... Like,
Yeah,
what
I
is
don't
going on
understand.
here? I'm so confused.
Well, no, I mean, they do explain the dog park because the driver shows up and says that the dog must have like knocked the park brake off. It still begs the question of A, what was the car doing up in the hills that are on fire, and B, where did the driver come from? Like, why wasn't the driver in the car?
Yeah.
Yeah, why is
Like,
the driver not on fire?
Are you
Like-
taking your dog for a walk in the middle of a wildfire? And then you locked your dog in the car while you... Like, it's all very dramatic.
Why was the driver not up the hill where the car came from?
Where did the
In the
fire
fire.
come from?
I mean,
The whole thing is just doesn't
whole-
make any sense at all. But
thing
yeah,
is, like, for the drama, even more for the drama than we're used to. It just...
They just wanted TK to tackle Buck, and
Pretty
they were
much.
like, yeah, let's just put a car on fire, and then everything unraveled.
It's the equivalent of Buck and Eddie meeting for the first time.
Yeah.
But
yeah, but nothing really comes of it. Like he just says...
Even Buck is like, so that was weird.
That was
And TK's
weird,
like,
yeah.
right?
And then he says, nice move, by the way, good reflexes, and then that's it. Like, we don't...
Yeah,
nothing
and then
else
TK
comes
goes,
of that
yeah,
at
you
all.
too, and Buck starts having What a Man playing in his head. It's very strange.
Yeah.
it's... I think, I don't know, it's meant to be a bonding moment between TK and Buck, but just...
It's strange.
Why?
Yeah, I don't get it.
It was unnecessary. Like, I don't think...
3/4
They could have
of
just
this
done with
episode
the
is
dick
This
waving
entire
beforehand.
episode is unnecessary, but...
No, it is necessary purely for the scene that we will talk about for 10 minutes.
All
at the
right,
end.
I will say it is necessary for the Judd-Eddie friendship, which I think is
Mhm.
amazing, and Eddie fits in so well down here. So I accept that. I will accept the scene at the end, which I adore. The rest of it can, like, go to Texas in a handbasket.
I do, like, I like the dick measuring competition. I just don't understand how that ended. Like, it's strange.
Yeah, the car was weird. Okay.
The car was weird.
Alright,
And, like,
so-
this is coming from someone who likes dogs in episodes, and I was still like, why is there a dog here?
All right,
And why
so
are you on fire?
we have checked in with Eddie. We have checked in with Buck. Now it's time to check in with Hen, who's hanging out at base camp where there are no emergency surgeries. There are no dogs in cars on fire. She's just doing basic first aid. When Eddie comes over the radio checking in, where he's updating the med unit that they've got 7 miners coming their way with mild dehydration, smoke inhalation, and 1 adult male who's coming in critical condition, and he will need a life flight out. And Hen, upon hearing Eddie's dulcet tones, immediately dives across the tent to take control of the radio.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, Hen, just do your job, man. Like, I don't know. She has to get involved, which is fine. I mean, okay, it's her boy, so, you know.
Yeah. But she doesn't add anything to the situation.
No, not really. She's not helping. She just says, you're sending out 7? I thought you went up there for 8 people. And Eddie explains that 1 kid's still missing. So they're searching. And Hen says, you got about 2 hours of daylight left and the wind reports are not good. And she's like laying it down like, you're running out of time. Like, hurry it up there.
So he's like, you're
okay,
not my real mum.
thank you.
Pretty much, yeah. So the couple of guys from the Austin 126 are Judd and Paul. And they're driving around on one of the ATVs yelling for JJ. And while they're doing that, Judd mentions that where they're driving, they may have already passed JJ's camp. And that reminds Paul that Judd never actually explained how he knows about the wilderness retreat. So he asks him, like, hey man, you never told me how you know about those things. And Judd goes, yeah, I didn't, did I? Hey JJ! And Paul's just like, I never really pictured you as one of those at-risk camps. And Judd turns to him and stares at him for like a good 3 seconds. And just like, and why the hell not? And Paul's like, all right, fair point.
Keep in mind, these people have known each other for like a year at this point, so it's just like, yeah, okay. Funnily enough, Bex has now watched the episode and knows why Judd was at one of those camps.
Well, I assume that was why he got sent to camp.
Yes.
You don't have to explain, it's okay.
No, we won't, because I still want you to watch the episode, because it's still a good episode. It's like the one episode of Lone Star that I'm just like, yes, this is amazing. And then the rest of it, I'm just like, yeah, like I like it, but it's not saving grace.
So interestingly, there is a very checkered and controversial history when it comes to these sort of wilderness retreats for the at-risk kids. And Paris Hilton is involved, which always kind of blows my mind.
What?
Yeah. So apparently...
Okay, explain.
Apparently, Paris Hilton, when she was younger, was sent to not so much like a camping trip like this, but the same sort of troubled teen industry. Where she was like I think she was there for 2 years.
Oh.
To try and quote unquote straighten her out. And she is still suffering trauma from that experience. And so a documentary got made through Netflix, I think, looking into the troubled teen industry, and she participated in the documentary, and she's also being a staunch advocate for like the government looking into and regulating the troubled teen industry, because these camps are just avenues they're like $1 billion industry, and it's sanctioned child abuse. The things that they will do to these kids in the name of quote unquote straightening them out is in some instances straight up torture.
Jesus.
Right.
So I'm going to assume that this Great Oaks one that they're talking about is not to that extent, but it's things like you spend 4 months walking through the wilderness with a backpack that has all of your belongings. You're not given food. You have to learn how to, you want to eat, learn how to make a fire. You want to drink, learn how to find water. That kind of. And there are lots of people who, and I'm guessing that they're tipping Judd to be one of them, who come out of it finding the experience to be very positive and transformational. Most kids come out of it slightly traumatized or extremely traumatized. Especially if you've got one of the ones where, in an effort to ensure that the kids don't realize what's happening until it's too late, the camp organizers will come in and kidnap you from your bedroom and throw you in a van and take you out into the wild.
Oh my God. Like Fourth Wing kind of business.
Yeah.
Sorry, if you haven't read that, you won't.
Yeah. So it's sort of like sunshine and roses and daisies in the episode, but but the actual troubled teen industry and these wilderness retreats for kids, they have a very sordid, very controversial, like not even history, because it's still currently going.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, just
far out.
You would not expect Paris Hilton to be somebody who would have had experienced this and then be an advocate.
And for so long. Yeah. Like, I thought it was sort of like a weekend thing, or like maybe a week.
Oh no, it's months. These kids are not there under their own.
They're there to be fixed.
Or quote unquote fixed. Yeah. There's a lot of what's going on with these kids can't be fixed by I remember reading an interview with one of the survivors of this training zone. Like, I know how to start a fire. I know how to do all of this sort of like physical survival stuff. I don't know how to emotionally regulate. I don't know how to have a conversation about my feelings. I don't know how to de-escalate a situation. That would have been more helpful than learning how to like forage for food.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, these kids have definitely come out of it more traumatized than when they went in, because they've nearly lost people in the fire.
And JJ's going to be super traumatized.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have found JJ's campsite, but JJ's not there.
Mm.
But they can't see any remains. Because, the fire's, like, completely swept through it.
So they still need to find JJ. But while they are still looking, we're going to go back up to base camp, where Hen has decided that she needs to do something to help Eddie, and she has approached Captain Strand for approval to get a helicopter to search the hillside where the Great Oaks camp was before it gets dark.
And he's like, no, you can't do that. It's right on the edge of the fire line. The wind's bad. You can't go.
No. It's worse than that. It's like, I don't feel good about sending anybody up there. I'll go.
Yeah. I'll go. It's like, okay.
And I know, like, I was trying to talk myself down from this, thinking, like, this would be very much something Bobby would do. He'd like, I'm not going to risk my own people. If somebody is going to go and do this, I'm going to do it myself. It just comes off so differently when it's Strand doing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or maybe it's just I'm, like, hardwired to just hate anything that comes out of this man's mouth. I don't know.
I didn't hate him at this point. It was only later when he starts talking about being invincible that I was like,
oh my
serious?
God.
But anyway, yeah. So we're going back to the campsite, and Eddie and Marjan just sitting there in the campsite waiting for them to come back.
Honestly, that must have been the most boring thing for them to shoot, because they're throughout like the next 10 minutes of the episode, they're literally just sitting in this campsite, reacting to everything they hear on the radio.
Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, like,
First.
Moani's like, maybe we should go out and help, and Eddie's like, nope, Judd told us to stay here. It's like, oh yeah, good boy. Good boy, Eddie.
Because he does have Buck with him, so he's gonna he's remembered how to follow orders. He also, I think he really I think he likes Judd as well, as much as Judd likes him, so, you know.
So yeah, Moani's like, how can you be so calm under literal fire? And Eddie's like, well, no one's shooting at us. And then even though there's no reception, apparently, Eddie pulls out his phone.
Oh my God!
And in the most, like...
Oh my God, yes, you are correct.
In the scene that shows that no one in this show has ever used social media before.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So, Moani's phone dings, and she checks the notification, and Eddie has sent her a follow request on Insta. But her Insta account's public, not private, because she's gone viral several times. So he doesn't have to send her a follow request. He can just follow.
Oh my God.
And so, yeah, she's like, oh, like, you want to follow me on Insta? And Eddie's like, oh, I heard you put a lot of effort into it, and I was curious. So she goes, I'll show you mine if you show me yours. So then they look at each other's accounts, which, like, possibly Eddie's was private because he does have photos of his kid on there.
I'm going to say that Eddie's is private.
Yeah. Makes total sense that Eddie's is private, but I don't understand why Mawani's would be private.
No, that doesn't make any sense.
Is there a setting where if you've got a public profile, you can still set it that anyone who wants... No, that doesn't make sense.
No.
No.
It's just public. Like, they just don't understand how Instagram works.
Oh
I think
my
they think it's
God.
like Facebook, where like...
They probably do. Oh my God.
Anyway, so
it doesn't
yeah, they look at each other's accounts.
They follow each other.
Eddie's like, oh, that's a Prius in the air. And yeah, a tornado dropped it between two buildings. Mawani's like, oh, is this your kid? Yep, that's Christopher. He's my world. Doing the whole, single dad thing.
At which point
And
I went,
then-
no, you're not. You've got Buck. But
Yeah.
then that's just me.
And then Marjan's like, you did not build him a skateboard. And Eddie just goes, yeah, well, Buck helped.
Aww.
And all the supernatural people go,
Oh, Cass helped.
Squealed.
Cass helped. But yes, is that the creepy guy that was staring at me before? And Eddie's like, he's harmless. Mostly.
Eddie.
Eddie, when has he harmed you?
He's harmless. Except, when he's suing the entire...
It's fine. We won't talk about that.
Okay,
He's never done
okay,
anything
that's
wrong in his
kind
entire
of
life.
harmful.
No, that's Eddie, who's never done anything wrong in his entire life because he's got a silver star.
Oh, that's right, because he's got a silver star. He would never do anything illegal, especially that illegal fight club. But he was just going through some things. It was fine. But yeah, so then they get over the radio, the dispatch just asks for the current location because they're sending air support. And Eddie's like, air support? Who's crazy enough to go up in something like this?
Cut to...
And then we get to Owen Strand pulling up at the helicopter.
Yep,
he's crazy enough apparently.
But
and so
is Hen. Yes, because she's climbing into the helicopter on the other side. To which Owen is not impressed and wants to know what she's doing there. And Hen says that she's coming with him because while it might be too dangerous for her to go, it's too dangerous for Owen to go without a medic. And
sure, why not?
The pilot says, we're burning daylight, we got to go. If we're going, we got to go now. And Strand just sort of stares at her and says, I'm not crazy about this, Henrietta. And Hen looks like she's about to rip his head off. She's like, yeah, me neither, call me Hen.
At first I thought that Owen Strand was going to be flying the helicopter. I'm like,
I wouldn't put it past him.
But no, then it becomes clear that's actually a pilot.
We've got Mark. I mean, they mostly forget about Mark, but Mark is there. So they make contact with Judd. They get his location. Hen is scanning the hills underneath the helicopter with basically infrared, and she finds a heat signature, which they assume is JJ, and so Owen, who can see Judd and Paul, guide their ATV toward where the heat signature is. And they find JJ. Meanwhile, and the weird thing is that we're cutting back and forth between Judd and Paul in the ATV, Hen and Owen up in the helicopter, and then randomly back to Eddie and Marjan, who are just sitting there with popcorn listening to this all play out over the radio.
So weird.
They're not contributing, they're literally just listening to it.
We can't forget about them. Yeah.
I mean, we probably could.
As they get closer, JJ actually starts calling out, like, help, I'm down here. So they get to him, and they find that his ankle's caught in a bear trap. So he's lying on the ground with his foot half off, basically.
Yeah, it's bad. He's not looking good.
He's lost blood.
So they hook him up to the life pack, and Hen starts, talking them through freeing him.
Yeah, before they start working out how to free him, JJ is very self-deprecatingly asking them, either asking them or it's a rhetorical question, like, what kind of loser gets caught in a bear trap running away from a bear, right? And Paul's like, so what, there's bears? And JJ's, they were chasing the wolves. Like, there's wolves?
There's wolves? The best part is, so at the end of the previous episode, we see this kid, and he's, trying to start a fire in the thing, and then these wolves, quote unquote, run past, and they're just huskies.
Yes.
They're so obviously huskies. It's just oh no, huskies.
I did watch this scene and I thought for a second that JJ was the one that started the wildfire, because there is a part where he's trying to set the fire and the fire misses the little campfire and just goes out into the brush. And I'm thinking, oh shit, that's the spark that starts the wildfire. But then no, after the huskies run past and we get birds flying past, it pans up and we see the hills in the distance are on fire. So it wasn't JJ's fault, but yeah, quote unquote, the wolves were fleeing from the bear that was fleeing from the fire. And
the bear was probably just that dog that was driving the car earlier.
Probably.
Yeah.
But Paul looks completely freaked out, and JJ, who was, lying there in a bear trap, goes, it's okay, they're gone now.
It's yeah, cool.
So Hen takes over the radio to Judd and introduces herself as Paramedic Wilson, and says, I'm sure that you are fully equipped and capable to handle this. And it's no, please help us. Meanwhile, Eddie and Marjan are listening to this.
When Hen goes, I'm up here with your captain, Eddie's just oh, for fuck's sake.
And Marjan looks like she's
Hen,
praying.
get down here.
The eye rolls are just epic from these two.
So she talks them through placing a tourniquet, and poor JJ though. So like Paul's like, yeah, this might hurt. And JJ just goes, it's what I deserve. Just like my dad always said, I'm a waste of space. It's like,
I mean, honestly, I felt like slapping him too, so I kind of sympathise with Judd.
Also, it's really weird. Like the transcript calls him Paul. I'm just gonna call him Strickland because that's what he's called in the show, and it's doing my head in. So
okay. Well, I didn't know that because I haven't watched the damn show.
I know they refer to except for Judd, who doesn't get called by his last name, but most of them they call by their last names.
Oh, that's weird. Okay.
Which is why I keep saying Mawani as well, because
okay,
that's what she's called.
Right, so they get him out of the bear trap. They start wrapping his ankle, but he's crashing. And Strickland keeps telling Judd to talk to him to keep him awake, which he tries to, but he tries to be nice to JJ. He starts off with, being the good guys. Like, I know that you think that you deserve this, you're wrong. And JJ's being typical snotty teenager. He's like, oh, you don't know anything about me. And Judd is like, no, I was you. And, sometime, years and years from now, this is just going to be another story. But you have to stay with us so that you can tell this story. But that's not enough to keep JJ awake. So then Judd tries the tough love approach, including the very typically Southern, I'm talking to you, boy. Just gone, oh, okay. And he's
like, stop being a little baby.
Like, oh, boo-hoo, poor me, I deserve this. Well, why don't you stop being a baby and grow a pair? And when that doesn't work, Judd literally straightens up and slaps him.
Yeah.
To the point where
Jesus Christ.
He slaps him so hard that the follow-through nearly catches Paul in the face. And so he has to rear backwards so that he doesn't get clipped as well.
I think he also rears backwards in, surprise and shock because
100%.
I don't think that's in the paramedics, manual.
But it works. JJ wakes up and JJ gets on the radio. Judd gets on the radio and he's like, Miss Henrietta, the fluids worked. I'm like, really? The fluids? Is that what they're calling
Don't
it?
think it was the fluids, but sure.
So Owen's like, I'm glad to hear that he's okay. He's going to get into the harness so that he can get lowered down to rescue the kid. Mark's like, nobody's going down with these wind gusts. We need to get out of the air as soon as possible. So that leaves the strike team to evacuate JJ on the ATV, which kind of makes more sense. And he's like, yeah, I gotta go pick up Malwani and Diaz anyway. Which, all good, except then all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, the helicopter catches on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I watched this a couple
something
of
here.
Yes.
Yeah, I had to rewind it. I was like, what?
We didn't
happened
miss
to the
anything.
helicopter?
Yeah, no, it
miss
literally just
anything.
the engine catches on fire. Or the rotor or something catches on fire.
Something.
And they're not even that close to the fire,
Oh,
the actual fire itself.
no.
I'm like, okay, the helicopter's crashing, all right.
Yeah, it's just
just-
overheated.
Spontaneous
I guess.
helicopter combustion. I don't know.
Yeah.
The wind is blowing the wrong direction, remember? Could have been
and
anything,
that causes
I
things to
guess.
blow up. I don't know. So
Sparks? I don't know.
Mark is calling for Mayday. Mayday, this is a distress call. Eddie and Marjan look up and they can see the helicopter coming down over the top of them. Eddie's now having flashbacks.
Yeah, right. Poor Eddie.
The helicopter crashes. Marjan is horrified. And we end this particular sequence with Judd running up to the top of the hill to watch the helicopter go down into the hills that are alive with the sound of fire.
Oof. And I'm like, oh no, Hen, she's going to die.
Which
Even
would be
I-
real awkward
sure.
when
Yeah.
Sure hope Hen doesn't die.
could you
Could
imagine,
you
you don't watch
tuning into the next
don't watch the
episode
crossover.
yeah. And Hen's just dead and it's like, oh, okay.
Sorry, you have
last-
to watch that other show to find out what happened.
the last thing you saw of Hen was she was going off to Texas, and then you tune in next week and they're having a funeral and you're like, what? What did I miss?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it makes the stakes a lot lower when you know that they're going to, both of them are going to survive.
100%.
Anyway.
And that's the other thing. Like, there's no way that would be killing off Rob Lowe, so you don't know 100% that he's going to survive.
That's it. Like, I'd seen all of 911 before I started watching Lone Star. And so watching, like, when I got up to the crossover, I was just like, okay. Because, like, I knew... Because Lone Star was almost in the final season as well. And I knew that, like, Captain Strand was in it. So I was like, well, it's kind of low stakes.
Very low stakes. So we come back from commercial and...
To TK and Buck still having their measuring competition.
Yeah, because it's gone beyond just the emergency calls, and they're now up to which state has the best natural disasters. And while Los Angeles has earthquakes, Texas apparently has solar storms. And I'm with Buck when he's like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, you can't even see it. And Mateo's like, guys, don't you see what you're doing? You're literally having a dick measuring competition. I mean, you're falling into the classic Iron Man
pretty much what
Captain
he
America trap. Is Captain America better because he's a super soldier with an indestructible shield, or is Tony Stark better because he's a tech genius with a sick weaponized suit? Neither's better. That's the point. They're both badass, and when they team up, nobody could beat them except maybe Thanos.
Thanos definitely beat them.
Yeah.
At this point, before they can respond, they reach an ATV where Eddie and Marjan are sitting, and TK and Buck are a little bit snarky with them. Like, oh, I'm glad to see strike teams already got their feet up. You guys must be exhausted from all that go-karting up and down the hill. And Mawani just looks at them and goes, you didn't hear, did you? And TK's like, hear what?
No one told me my dad's almost dead again. It's fine.
Well, see, at this point, I didn't realise it was his dad.
Again. No, I didn't realise it was his dad until just the next bit where he was saying something about his dad.
When they go after obviously hearing that his dad has crashed, he immediately goes to De Leon to get permission to go after him. But before we get that, we do confirm that everyone survived the crash except for, like, Mark's in bad shape, but Hen's fine. Owen appears to be in okay shape, but must have had a head injury at some point, which we didn't see.
No, he just starts getting dizzy and stuff later, right? Apart from the hallucinations.
But we don't see what could have caused that. But anyway, the helicopter's down, it's surrounded by flames, the radio is dead, they have no cell reception. Maybe they should just start sending DMs through Insta, because apparently Insta's getting reception, even if nothing else is.
Yeah.
Literally. It's yeah.
But the wind sort of whips up and starts whistling. And Owen says, do you feel that? It's a firestorm. It's creating its own wind. Pulls out this map. They start showing Hen where they could possibly go for shelter. And then he stops. And he goes, do you feel that? It's making its own wind. It's a firestorm. And Hen just sort of looks at him. He's like, what? It's like, you just repeated yourself. And then we get Owen being absolutely the worst patient in the world because she starts running like a concussion checklist on him. Like, do you know what day it is? And he's like, it's nighttime. It's not helpful, Owen. Do you know where you are? Somewhere I really don't want to be. For fuck's sake, dude.
Yeah. So yeah, he has a concussion.
Yeah. Which Owen very snarkily says, so what are you going to do? You're going to tell me to stay off my feet, avoid stress? At this point, the flames sort of whoosh up around them, and Hen's like, no, actually, we're going to run like hell.
Yeah.
So they scoop up poor Mark, who has... What was wrong with him? He's got a fractured femur, a couple of cracked ribs, and she sedated him, which is probably the best.
Yeah, but then that means they've got to carry him basically anyway.
But it also means they don't have to write lines for him, and they can forget about it
That's
for the next
true.
couple of scenes. He's not going to take screen time away from Rob Lowe.
I mean, to be honest, in the next couple of scenes, I'd completely forgotten that he was even
I
there.
hadn't.
Okay.
Justice for Mark.
Well, he's unconscious, so he's quiet. I was too busy trying to work out what the hell was going on in the next few scenes. Anyway.
Honestly, the first time I watched the episode, no clue about Mark. Completely forgot about him as well. But this go through when I'm writing out the notes, I'm like, oh, Mark, where's Mark? And I'm keeping very careful track of him. But while they've scooped up Mark and they're running like hell, I don't know where they're running to at the moment, but they're running. TK has run to base camp to find the incident commander to demand permission to go look for his father.
Yeah. And they're like, no, you can't go.
Yeah, but at this point, like you and I, first time around, we don't even know that it's his father. It's just everyone is very angrily...
Yeah, it's not until he says, your father would be the first one to agree with me. And I'm like, your father?
Yeah, everyone is just very, very anxious to go and search, which coming from 911 LA, like we expect that. Like Buck gets absolutely rabid when something happens to Bobby or anyone in the 118, so that's like par for the course.
Yeah.
But it's only when DeLeon says, we haven't had any cell or radio contact. Nobody else is risking their lives tonight, and your father would be the first one to agree with me. At which point Buck is like, shit, seriously? His actual father? Not like his just father figure?
Wait, your daddy issues are caused by your biological dad?
All right, so back to the fire pit. Hen and Owen are actually carrying Mark at this point. Well, they're kind of dragging him along, I guess. He's over their shoulders a little bit. And they find a mine.
Yeah.
Like I'm assuming it's a very old abandoned mine. And they go inside. They break down the whatever's across the doorway and go inside.
It's like the little building shelter thing at the top of the shaft, which has a big sign on it that says, like, danger mine. And Owen makes a comment that, he spent his whole life running towards danger, but there's never actually been a sign. But the idea is that the further into the mine they go, the more that they will be protected from the heat of the fire. Unfortunately, the mine shaft is not that deep, and there is also crates upon crates of extremely old dynamite in the mine with them.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
No.
Sure, it'll be fine. It's not like there's a fire.
No.
And then we get Ellen's favourite part of the episode.
They have a bit of a bonding moment where they talk about Karen momentarily. But Owen does say at this point, yeah, you picked the right person to be in a helicopter crash with. I'm like, what? And so does Hen. She goes, oh, yeah, why is that? And he goes, because I'm invincible. It's like,
what the fuck is up with that, Alice? Why?
Yeah, it's... I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think because he survived...
That's what I
9/11,
assumed.
And I can't remember where he is, because he does have cancer, but I don't remember where he is in his cancer journey at the moment.
Yeah, I assumed it was because he'd survived, like, I forgot about the 9/11 stuff, but I assumed it was because he'd survived cancer. But yeah, I thought that this I'm invincible shit was like a storyline that just, like, flowed through all of Lone Star. But no, they whipped it out just for this one. Okay. But yeah, but then things get hilarious for a moment, because Hen takes the news that Owen is invincible in stride and says, well, my wife will be glad to hear that. And then we do a quick cut to the dead paramedic who has joined them in the mine and says, oh, sure, you survived. Great for you.
And Hen sort of notices that he's looking in a place where there's nobody. And she's like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah.
No.
Yep, no.
I would like to say that I really enjoy dead paramedic Rosewater. I think he's hilarious, and I would continue to watch Lone Star if it was like every time Owen said something, dead paramedic Rosewater just made some sort of snarky, sassy response that only Owen could hear.
Oh my god, what a great show! Yeah.
Unfortunately,
So
we don't get that.
Base camp. back at base camp, TK's on the phone, and I don't know if it's with Carlos or his mum.
What all it says was, "Okay, I will. I love you too." I'm assuming he's talking to. It was either Carlos or his mum.
Yeah, I assumed his mum.
Oh, I assumed Carlos, but there we go. The important part is not he's on the phone with. The point is that Buck comes over to him with a pizza box.
Yeah.
Because
they've just delivered 20 kinds of pizza.
And he's trying to reassure TK.
Oh, TK's very worried. He doesn't want to eat anything. But Buck says, believe that they survived. And your dad is with Hen, so he's in really good hands.
And TK can't stop trying to one-up Buck. He's like, well, Hen's in really good hands too, because she's with my dad. It's like, TK, let it go. And then we get Buck saying, look, my captain is not my actual biological father, but he might as well be.
We're like, yeah, we know that.
Yeah, we know that. Because, like,
yeah, he could have given up on me so many times, and he never did, even when I used to steal the fire truck. And TK's like, you used to steal a fire truck? And Buck's like, yeah, all the time.
And TK can't stop. He's like, well, I've done a lot worse than steal fire trucks, and my dad's never given up on me. I'm like, yeah, you definitely have done a lot worse than steal a fire truck.
Yeah, TK's done a lot worse. Like, Buck's like, oh yeah, I stole the fire truck, which has a tracker, and like Bobby, and was totally safe and knew exactly where I was going. And like
TK
like, almost overdosed in an abandoned building. But sure, yeah, it's fine.
But after they like tuck themselves back into their trousers, and TK's like, it just sucks sitting here doing nothing. And Buck's like, well, what if we didn't have to? And he pulls out a key from his pocket, and TK is like, is that? And Buck's like, a key to a fire truck? Yes, it is.
He's gonna steal the fire truck again.
Steal the fire truck again. Because in this episode,
this time.
Well, no. Apparently, being in a mine shaft does not increase your cell phone reception. Once again, they should just check Insta. Owen and Hen are both on their phones trying to call somebody, get some kind of signal. Dead paramedic Rosewater, it reminds them, you're in a mine shaft, genius. Of course you're not going to get any reception. And Owen's very studiously ignoring his hallucination and tries to make some small talk with Hen by asking how long she's been married. And dead paramedic Rosewater just goes, oh, good, small talk. I love this guy. I had no idea who he was, but I love him.
Yes, very light-hearted.
I should mention
sarcasm.
that dead paramedic
honestly,
Rosewater,
he's much better dead than alive.
He's also like he's very quite clearly dead, because he's got like his skin is as grey as you can get with all the filters that they've put on this. His eyes are that like milky blue. He's got blood dripping over his face. He's quite clearly a corpse.
He's like super dead.
Owen asks Hen about her wife. And we find
she like explains about her family a little bit.
Yeah. And
yeah, because Karen's a literal rocket scientist.
A stay-at-home rocket scientist at the moment.
And she's like cutbacks at JPL and like, and COVID.
Yeah.
Although COVID doesn't seem to be a thing in Texas.
Let's see the thing.
Yeah, Texas didn't have COVID.
But it's not, I don't know that it was cutbacks. I think she took a new position. Because at the end of season, I can't even remember which one. End of season 2, she specifically takes the part-time job at Caltech, which is where the JPL, it's the jet propulsion lab, is at Caltech. So she takes a part-time position there, and that's why they decided to have more kids, because Karen would be home more.
Yeah, that's right.
So like I mentioned, they kind of play fast and loose with some of the facts in this episode. So we've got the wife is the rocket scientist. Owen asks about kids. They've got 2 kids. She asks if Owen has a kid. He mentions TK and says that Hen might have met him. And Hen says, now that you mention it, I did notice the resemblance at the briefing, and I'm like, when the hell did you notice that resemblance?
I
Like,
did not.
did you happen to look over to see where Buck was staring and notice the white guy standing next to her and go, "Oh, that looks a lot like Owen. I wonder if that's his son." Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly wasn't like the brothers the other week that I noticed right away. But they have cast, TK and Owen quite well to look like they could be related.
Yeah. Oh, the funniest thing is that Owen's brother shows up in, like, the next season or the season after. And I was like, wow, they've cast him really well. Like, he's even got the same speech patterns. Like, he's done really well. Yeah, turns out it's just Rob Lowe's actual brother. Yeah.
Oh, it's his real brother.
It's his real brother.
Wow. Well, that's perfect casting then.
Yeah, because I was like, wow, like, even the speech patterns are the same. Like, such good casting. Like, this guy's really done his homework. Yeah, no. They're actual brothers. They grew up together. That's, yeah.
Right, that makes sense.
Owen goes off on a bit of a tangent about his wife, like TK's mother, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, apparently they're getting back together. Okay, we never meet her. We never hear anything else about it. Okay.
After 15 years of being divorced, we're giving it another go-around, which sounds crazy. Dead paramedic Rosewater says, you know what's crazy? Getting hit by a lava bomb. That's crazy. At which point Owen can't help himself and he's like, I'm sorry to dead paramedic Rosewater. And Hen's like, sorry for what? Thankfully, the wind
Hen's
shifts
pretty creeped out.
Thankfully, the wind shifts at that point and smoke starts getting pushed into the mine shaft, which is, like, not ideal. This next sequence is just so fucking stupid. So they both realize that they need to find another way out. Dead paramedic Rosewater's, like, telling Owen, you know she's never going to see those kids again. You picked a real nice tomb to die in, though.
And yeah, at this point, Owen's, like, yelling at the, like, non-existent dead guy. And Hen's like, I believe you're talking to somebody who's not here. And Owen's like, I'm aware. But he did give me a good idea.
And Hen's like, what have I got myself into here?
Especially because Owen makes a beeline for the dynamite. Like,
yeah.
Ooh. So while they're doing that, Buck and TK are trying not to be suspicious. Like, they're literally creeping, like, jumping.
They're in stealth mode.
They're in stealth mode. They're, like, running up to a truck and then sort of looking around and then sprinting for the next truck to try and, like, hide their approach for the fire trucks. And we get this hilarious moment where TK tells Buck, you don't have to do this. There's no reason that both of us should get fired. And Buck's like, hey, my friend's up there too. She'd do the same thing for me. And then he stops. He goes, I think. And then he stops a little bit more and his, like, face screws up as he tries to work it out. And then he goes, you know what? She would. It's okay. She would. I'm like, oh, Buck.
Like, who are you convincing here?
Like, yeah. Like, did you actually decide that yes, Hen would, or are you just telling yourself that yes, Hen would? I mean, she probably would.
Both.
Eddie definitely would. But
yeah, Eddie would, yeah.
At this point, they find the 118's truck. And TK's like, yeah, here it is. Let's go. And Buck's like, no, that's not it. And TK's very confused. Like, it's got 118. It's got Los Angeles on it. This is your truck. And Buck's like, yeah, no, we're not taking that one. Bobby would kill me if I brought it back with a scratch on it. We're taking your truck.
Funnily enough, I saw my cousin yesterday, who is a firefighter, and he now works, like, behind the scenes more, and he works on the fire trucks. And he was telling me a story about how, like, the firefighters, like, the captains are always like, when he's working on them, he's like, oh, like, is it okay? Like, what are you doing? Like, tell me about it. And they're all really protective over their truck. And I was like, oh, so that is actually a thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, can you just give me space to work? Like, just give me a minute and you'll have it back. But Jesus Christ.
Before they can get to TK's truck, though, Judd steps around and yells, hey, dumbass, dumbasser. And would we like to discuss which one is dumbass and which one is dumbasser? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, is TK the buck in Lone Star? Like, is he the young dumb one?
Not really.
Buck's not dumb. He just asks a lot of questions.
Like, he can be a bit reckless, but, like, I'm trying to remember TK from season 1 because he's a lot different in the later seasons.
So I'm trying to work out whether Judd calling him a dumbass is something that's a regular occurrence. And so then TK is dumbass and then Buck is dumbasser because he's like the next one.
Well, I assume that since he actually knows TK, he'd probably call him dumbass first.
Yeah.
Just to be polite about it.
But also, I stopped at this point and I looked up on the wiki for, like, ages of these two, and scarily enough, Buck is meant to be the elder. Like, not by much.
Yeah.
It's just a couple of...
Yeah, by 6 months.
If you can believe the ages out of the wiki, it's by 6 months, but still. Buck being the, like, older and more responsible one is a little bit scary. But
anyway, Judd wants to know if they stop to consider the consequences, and they're just like, But
they've
then
literally frozen.
The rest of the gang show up.
Yeah, Judd
Eddie...
asks, did you stop to consider the consequences? And Eddie answers, and like, you obviously don't know Buck. The answer being like, no, he didn't stop to consider it.
So Mawani's like, you two didn't seriously think that you could sneak off and drive into wildfires, did you? And TK's like, yes. Strickland's like, yeah, that ain't gonna happen. And Buck's like, oh, you think you're gonna stop us? And like, you know, puffing out his chest. And Mateo's like, stop you, we're going with you.
But when the hell did Mateo get there?
He's small, you can't see him. He was hiding behind Judd. Okay,
because that's the only thing that makes sense, because you see Judd and Strickland step out from one side of the fire truck, and then you see Mawani and Eddie from the other end. But then somehow Mateo
and
is
Proby's
like
just like, I'm also here.
But yes, apparently they are all going. So then they load up into the 126 truck, because, you know, Buck's already got the keys, and they roll out.
And very non-stealthily roll out.
And there's like two guys sitting in the back of one of the rigs eating pizza and sort of watching surprise as this truck breaks formation and rolls out, and I'm looking at them going, all right, who in the crew are these two guys? Like, which executive producer is having fun doing like a cameo? So if anybody knows if these are like anybody important, I'd love to know, because the wiki didn't know.
All right, so Owen is enacting his plan so crazy it might work, involving dynamite and an old mine shaft, which just sounds pretty dangerous. But anyway, he explains how them being 100 years old makes the dynamite definitely less stable. So, you know, it could blow up at any moment. Basically, their plan is to blow up the entrance to the mine so that the smoke won't come in. But then they will be trapped in the mine.
Yes.
And I don't understand this plan at all. But anyway.
Nope. I don't understand it at all, because anyway, so yes, the plan is to seal the entrance of the mine to stop the smoke from getting in, not realizing that that's also going to stop any oxygen from getting in, because apparently it seals it so well. But we'll get there, because we still have to set it up. So Owen is stacking the dynamite near the entrance. Hen is the only one who's thinking straight, and she takes her brush jacket, which is the yellow jacket that they're wearing, rather than the full-on turnouts. She takes her brush jacket, she takes Owen's brush jacket off him, and she goes and hangs them on posts outside the mine shaft as kind of a, hey, we're in here kind of deal. Then she comes back inside with a literal flaming torch. But before she comes back in, dead paramedic Rosewater sort of is watching Owen stack the dynamite, and he goes, yeah, for the record, this actually wasn't my idea.
Yeah, no shit. You're like figment of his imagination.
Hallucination, dude. Owen stretches out the detonating cord. They use the flaming torch. Very convenient that everything outside is on fire, so they've got something to light the dynamite with. So they ignite the detonating cord, and then they run like 3 steps, because that's as deep as the mine shaft goes. At this point, I'm going, where the hell is Mark? Did they remember to drag him from the entrance?
Oh.
Like, did they move him before all this happened?
Did they just blow him up?
Yes! Did they just, like, did he die at some point, so they're just blowing him up?
Yeah, why is he still unconscious? Oh, no, she sedated him.
She must have
he's
sedated him
he's
pretty
having a really
fucking
good
well.
nap. Yeah.
Maybe she just keeps topping him up. I don't know. I'm assuming that they've already dragged him into, like, deeper into the mine shaft. That's the only thing that makes sense. But yeah, ignite the cord, run like hell for 3 steps because it's not that deep. The dynamite explodes and the entrance to the mine shaft collapses in upon itself, sealing the mine completely, because when we come back from commercial, both of them are on oxygen, which, why didn't they just use the O2 masks when the smoke started coming in?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Why didn't they?
Because, like, now they're poisoning the air.
Like,
and
number one, where did they get all of these O2 tanks and O2 masks? Did they go
I
back?
was like, did they carry them in? I
No.
don't.
They didn't. I think so. It was either they had one because Mark was hooked up to an O2 mask. So they stole it from him and they were sharing it backwards and forwards. But then I was watching, like,
And they just left him for dead.
yes. But I'm watching and, like, no, they've both got their own masks, which means at some point they went and got extra O2 tanks. But then if they had the O2, why didn't they just let the smoke, like, come in and then use the O2 masks and breathe that rather than... Yeah, because apparently not only they've sealed the tomb off so well that not only is oxygen not getting in, but it's also not allowing the CO2 that they're exhaling to escape.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Which, it's so fucking stupid.
Yeah, I don't get it. Do not understand.
And how small is this area that they're trapped in now that the oxygen has already run out as well? Like, I guess they were trapped overnight, right?
Well, yeah, because when the 126 eventually get there, like, it's morning.
It's morning, yeah.
But then when they uncover them, they're literally just, like, lifting off a couple of pieces of wood. So how the hell did that, like, seal off the mine tightly enough?
No, let's not think too hard about it, because it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. But no, so apparently they're getting a little bit woozy from, like, the pure oxygen and the CO2 building up. Owen apologizes for the stupidest plan that man has ever come up with, and also for letting her get on the chopper so that she's in this position in the first place. And Hen's like, what are you talking about? You're invincible, remember? And he's like, yeah, I'm invincible, but everybody else around me dies. Like,
she's like, now you tell me.
And then we get a little bit of an explanation as to dead paramedic Rosewater, because Hen goes, like, is that what you've been hallucinating? Is that what's been haunting you, someone who didn't make it? And Owen's like, the people who didn't make it couldn't fit into this mine shaft. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, dude. But, like, recently a paramedic got killed not 2 feet from me, and then we cut to dead paramedic Rosewater. I'm like, oh, that's who you are. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Owen starts his monologuing, and
it's like a therapy session. He's, like, unloading it all on him.
You were joking earlier that, like, TK and Buck were like trading traumas. These two are literally trading traumas.
Literally.
Because Owen's like, I was in 9/11. I lost 14 of my brothers. I feel guilt over surviving. I feel guilt over the fact that I hate them for dying on me. I feel guilt over forcing my son to follow my footsteps. I feel guilt over the failure of my marriage. And Hen's like, well, I killed someone with my ambulance.
Yeah. She played the cello.
And apparently she's now 16 years old. I'm like, what?
Yeah, no,
was
when she said that,
driving.
I'm like, she wasn't 16.
She was not
She was like
16.
20. If she was a day.
I know that they drive a little earlier in America, but
No, yeah, but
what?
she would have literally she'd be like 16 and like 9 months or something. But it wasn't just that she was driving. It was like she was going picking up dry cleaning. She was going getting coffee.
Yeah.
She was I know that there is like a junior symphony for the LA Philharmonic, but she wasn't like soloing for the juniors. She said specifically that she was the youngest soloist for the LA Philharmonic, and I'm pretty sure they don't let you play a soloist when you're 16.
Oh my god, they actually can drive in 16 in
Yeah,
California.
because I think you only need to do like 6 months of supervised driving.
Wow.
But anyway, yeah, Evelyn was not 16. So this is what I mean.
I
when
don't
Yeah, I
think
don't
so.
think she was 16.
No, I
This
don't
is-
think she had to be older than that.
Like, this is what I mean when they're just making shit up that happened in the other show. Not fact-checking themselves. Not that the 911 really fact-checks itself anyway, but...
Yeah.
But with this revelation, she passes out. And Owen is very close behind her from passing out, but we do get a very sinister, like, night-night from dead paramedic Rosewater before he passes out.
Okay.
I love dead paramedic Rosewater.
He's the best part about this
He,
scene.
he's he is the saving grace for the Owen Strand scenes. And I'm very,
Yeah.
very sad that he recovers from his concussion and he stops hallucinating dead paramedic Rosewater.
Rest in peace, dead paramedic Rosewater. We'll always remember you.
And he can rest in peace now that he said goodnight.
But yes, apparently it is now morning. So I don't know how long it took the 120, like what's timey-wimey timeness. I don't know how long it took the 126 to get to where the helicopter crashed, or what time all of the like stealing of the fire engine happened, or what time the sun comes up in Texas. I don't know, but it's now morning. And they arrive at the crash zone, and everyone immediately starts, well, Buck and TK immediately start scrambling all over the helicopter looking for Hen and Owen. And when they don't find them in the helicopter, they fan out, looking for them in the surrounds.
Yeah, they can't find them, but they find the remains of the mine. I don't know how far away the mine was, but I guess they were dragging Mark with them at the time, so they probably didn't go all
get
that
too
far
far.
before they found the mine. So they see the jackets outside the mine, and Marmoni calls for everybody, and they go in. They just pull a few things away from the entrance. I'm like, yeah.
I've already said it, like apparently those 2 planks of wood were enough to completely make the mine shaft airtight. Like,
Yeah.
anyway, so they clear the entrance, they climb in. The 126 immediately surround Owen and get him out. The 118 get Hen out. Nobody gets Mark out, but apparently he gets out anyway because we later see him on a gurney being pushed somewhere.
Ah,
I don't
someone
know
must
where.
have grabbed him.
I don't know where they got the gurney from because they took a truck, not an ambulance. Where did they get the gurneys from?
Where are they going to put it?
Where are they gonna put it?
Just like strap it to the roof?
That's what I was thinking.
Attach it to the ladder?
Just lay him across the back seats.
I'm going to assume that once they found them, they somehow miraculously like DM'd somebody through Insta to get an ambulance to the site.
Firefox has been live
radio.
this entire time. I don't know.
The radios have been working. So they could radio for help.
I don't know, but anyway, so it's very stirring because the 126 are taking care of their own, the 118 are taking care of their own, somebody's taking care of Mark, and yes, that's the end of that.
Proby probably got
safe.
stuck looking after Mark.
And when Owen wakes up, because he sort of looks around and checks that like TK's okay, he sees Mark is okay, he checks that Hen's okay, and then he passes out.
Yeah.
And then when he wakes up, he's back in the medical tent. And Captain Vega is there. Although, to start with, Owen thinks that she's as much a hallucination as dead paramedic Rosewater was. Although hallucinations don't usually...
like, what are you doing here? Are you here?
Hallucinations don't usually have medicine and bottles of water, but, you know, I've never had a full auditory and visual hallucination, so what do I know?
But yeah, she gives him some headache pills, which is probably the least of his needs. Well, they've been looking after him already, so maybe they gave him the hard stuff earlier. Apparently she arrived at first light and she couldn't shake the feeling that maybe you needed a friend out here. So she just came all the way down there to, you know,
say hi,
comfort him. I don't know.
And then, ironically, she tells Owen that everybody put a real hurt on the fire between the containment line and rain, because apparently it rained overnight. I didn't see any evidence of rain.
The rain.
No, we didn't see the rain.
We didn't miss the rain.
Okay.
There was no evidence of rain, but apparently it rained.
Yep, good.
The fire has been contained and the 118 can go home. So they drove 20 hours. They were on site for, let's say, 18 to be generous, and now they have to turn around and drive 20 hours back again.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like, I know they can't stay there long because they've got to get back, so, like, next week we can have, an LA episode, but... Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, normally the assignments are, like, weeks long.
Yeah, not 18 hours.
So that they can shuffle shifts. Yeah.
Like, you didn't want to keep...
Fire's over now.
Well, no, it's not over. It's just contained. It's still burning, but it's, like, under control. But maybe, you know, you'd want to keep...
Yeah, we're good now, bye.
You'd keep them so you can rest your normal firefighters, let them get some sleep and some food, and then they can go back in to actually put the rest of the fire out. No? Okay. What do I know?
Yeah.
So we then get the 118 packing up. Judd is desperate for Eddie to go to a barbecue place in Fort Stockton and tell them that Judd sent them. But Eddie says, actually, we're just going to, like, swing past El Paso and eat at my parents'. Which is kind of cute.
Well, if you're going all the way to Texas, you may as well
Hi,
drop in and
parents.
say hello.
Hi, parents.
Yeah. With a fire truck. I mean...
You just imagine Helena and Ramon with this fire truck, like, pulls up in front of their house.
Yeah. The neighbours are all peeking out the windows going, what's going on?
Who's on fire? They have a cute little bonding moment.
They're so cute together. I think Judd's, like, found a new friend that he now has to say goodbye
I think
to.
this must be the point where I was looking at Judd going, he is huge compared to Eddie. He's way taller.
Eddie has, like, the cutest... Eddie has such good connections with everybody. Like, he's made some really good friends in this short period of time. Because once he said goodbye to Judd, he turns around and Milwani is in an ATV again, because apparently that's all she does in this episode. And he asks her for a pic, like a selfie for Instagram. Because it's not every day that you get to take a selfie, and 100% he's just doing that to piss Buck off.
Yeah, not every day you get to take a selfie with #Firefox.
Oh, that's right. He actually says the fucking hashtag.
Yeah, because he's 87 years old.
How that works, Eddie.
So they pose for the selfie. Strickland wanders up and says, "Oh, now that is just way too much pretty." And I'm like, yeah. I mean, you're not wrong, dude. Eddie and Strickland hug. They sort of exchange great workings with you. But before Eddie leaves...
They call each other bro.
They call each other brother. Everyone's calling each other brother. Like, it's everyone's brother.
Yeah, brother. Yeah.
And then he turns...
Brother.
He turns to Marwani and says, and for the love of God, please follow Buck back on Insta.
He's going to hear all about it if he doesn't. So.
Meanwhile...
Meanwhile...
Buck is dealing with Mateo, who is reminding him about his cousin. It's like, his name is Marvin Chavez, Chaves. He gets out of jail in about 3 months. And Buck's like, yeah, I will
keep my eyes open.
Definitely not look him up. So Mateo seems satisfied with that. He disappears. TK, it looks like the 126 are helping the 118 load up because they must have brought bags and bags of shit with them.
Yeah, I don't know how much the 118 brought and why the 126 aren't packing up, but anyway. I guess they're staying, but they've got nothing to do right now.
Don't know. I'm ignoring it because we get some cute moments, like this one, so which is hilarious.
So yeah, TK goes, oh, you really put yourself out there, can't thank you enough. And Buck's like, oh, it's what we do. And hey, if you ever find yourself in LA, we should get together.
And TK says, sure. I do have to mention, though, that I already have a boyfriend and it's pretty serious. But it was really nice meeting you. And Buck's face.
And TK just drops the mic and leaves. And Buck's like,
he has no idea that he has just rocked Buck's world without, ever actually touching him. And
then meanwhile, Eddie comes through. Eddie immediately appears. So TK says goodbye, and Eddie just goes, "Where's Hen?" And Buck's just like, "What?
What just happened?" Because Buck wasn't flirting.
The fact that
Buck was just Buck was he was not consciously flirting. He was just being.
He was
Buck.
not consciously flirting.
And Buck just being Buck means that he's flirting with everything that walks, because that's just how he interacts
but the
with
fact
people.
That TK's like, I have a boyfriend. It's pretty serious, and then Eddie shows up.
Oh, I wasn't even...
Tim Minear, I see you.
I wasn't even, the Eddie part I'm not even worried about. I'm just fascinated by the fact that they chose this episode to have a very openly queer character clock Buck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you think about the fact that, they probably always intended or they always wanted Buck to be queer. And so
that's a whole discussion we'll get to later this season. Yeah.
So this is kind of them slipping it in, sort of while the big wigs over in LA weren't watching.
Weren't paying attention.
Because it doesn't count if it's in Lone Star.
Even the OG 911 execs won't watch Lone Star. So they're like, quick, insinuate that Buck's gay while no one's watching.
But anyway, yes, Eddie is more worried, not the fact that Buck is absolutely spiraling. I don't think he even notices that Buck is spiraling. He's more interested in where Hen is. Hen, unfortunately, has to have one more scene with Owen Strand before she can leave. So she's back in the medical tent. Yep. Where Owen is wandering around the medical tent dragging his IV around with him because he wanted to catch Hen before she shipped out. And nothing about this makes sense because apparently this has just reinforced Owen's understanding that he is invincible because he can't think of another reason how he made it out alive. And then he says, "Who knew you could get so stoned on oxygen?" And I'm like, what?
What?
Where?
You had a head injury.
I don't understand any of this. Because, like, so apparently pure oxygen can give rise to the feelings of euphoria.
Yeah, like Hen
And
says
Owen's like, yeah, I'm not sure it was euphoria that was feeling. And she goes, what happens in the mine shaft stays in the mine shaft. What happened in the mine shaft?
Exactly.
They trauma dumped and passed out. I'm so confused.
Didn't they pass out from lack of oxygen?
Apparently not. I don't understand.
I don't know. Maybe it's the trauma dumping. It's what stays in the mine shaft. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe.
No idea.
You're right. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
I don't get it. Because Owen was like, oh yeah, like everyone I know died. We already know that, Owen. You don't shut up about it. Like, what do you mean what happens in the Minecraft stays in the mine shaft? It happens every fucking week.
What happens in the Minecraft stays in the Minecraft. Anyway, they part friends, I guess.
It's weird.
Oh,
maybe.
and Hen gets an upgrade because she is now allowed to call him Owen, not Captain Strand. I'm guessing the whole surname thing comes from Owen. Like, he's the one that's instituted this whole we only ever call people... What do they call TK? Because they can't call him Strand.
TK.
They call him TK. So TK is TK. Judd is Judd. Everyone else gets surnames.
Yeah.
So the white people get their first names, and everybody else gets their last names.
Yeah.
Right.
Look, it confused the hell out of me for so long because I could not work out if Marjan's name was Marjan or Mawani. I was like, which is her first and which is her second? Because they interchange them so much that I had to Google it. And yeah, Strickland, like, I forget that his name's Paul because they only call him Strickland. And I'm just like, who the fuck is Paul?
Yeah, kind of like when they call Jim Howard and I'm just like, who's Howard?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, who the fuck is Howard?
And we end, like, the last line of the episode is Hen saying, take care of yourself, Owen, even if you are invincible. Which is why I asked, is this invincibility thing something that is constantly brought up in the series? Because they make such a big fucking deal about it in this episode.
I don't remember.
It does feel that way.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Oh, and with that, we are done with the crossover. Thank fuck for that. Okay, so I asked you this before, Ellen, but I'm going to ask it now that we're recording. Having watched this episode, are you inclined to continue watching Lone Star?
I mean, probably not. They don't really, I guess they only had a short amount of time in which to sell this other show to new viewers, and I think they've done a really bad job of that.
Yeah, so...
because I don't really care enough about any of these individual people in order to continue to watch.
Okay, so I know that previously on this podcast I have talked about the crossover episode and I assumed that it was the execs desperately trying to drum up more viewership for Lone Star. I assumed that the ratings... Is
that not what the crossover episodes are for, though? Like,
no, I think that...
cross-pollinate.
Yeah, that's what I thought, was to, like, draw them in, like, draw people from the OG over to the...
I would think that if it were, like, a pilot episode, so if the first episode of Lone Star had the characters from the OG 911 in it, that would make sense.
Because, like, that's what Grey's did with Private Practice. Like, it was a soft launch on Grey's.
Yeah, you do,
and
like...
then it spun off to its own.
You do, like, backdoor pilots and things like that.
Yeah.
But actually watching this episode and analysing it, I don't think that it was intended for new viewers. I think that it's meant to be a reward for the viewers of both 911 and Lone Star. It's like, you guys who are watching the OG 911, you're continuing to watch that, and you followed us over to Lone Star. So as a little reward, here are all your blorbos in one place. Enjoy. Because the episode doesn't make sense unless you have watched both the OG 911 and Lone Star. And I bet that if you knew who Buck, Eddie, and Hen were, and you knew who Judd and Strickland and Mawani and Owen were, it would have been really exciting to see all of them interacting.
Yeah.
And it would have been great publicity, but I don't think that I'm now of the opinion that it was not intended to bring in new viewers, because if they were going to bring in new viewers, like you said, Alan, you don't care about the characters coming out of this one. If you were trying to bring in new viewers, you would have like a standalone episode where you could get into more character introduction.
You're saying it's more like of an Easter egg episode than a promotional. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think maybe dropping them into like an actual disaster like this, even though it made sense from a storyline perspective, where like the guys had to come from LA to Texas.
That made perfect sense. The dead paramedic Rosewater part did not make sense if you're trying to entice new viewers to actually watch your episode. Yeah, that made no sense at all. That made sense if you'd watched the previous episode. But what I mean is like they've dropped them into like a natural disaster, which already takes up a lot of the story. So there's no room for character development or for introducing even some of these characters. We don't even know who they are. They're just there. And so if they wanted us to be interested in these new people and continue to watch their story, then we needed a bit more story, you know?
Yeah.
But all we got was the natural disaster.
Yeah.
Which was exciting in its own right, like the fighting of the fire. Okay, great. Although all they did was dig up a fire break and then they rescued some kids, but that's it.
Yeah.
Question for Bex as well.
Oh, okay.
If you hadn't seen any of Lone Star at all, and you'd only seen Saving Grace, would that entice you to watch the show?
Nope.
No? See, I love Saving Grace so much. Like, I just wanted to write a Destiel fic about it.
Like I said after I watched Saving Grace, so I have watched that episode, it did not meet my expectations, so I think that Saving Grace is an excellent episode if you had met Judd and Grace previously, and it fills the gaps in their relationship and in their history and puts some stuff in context for you.
Yeah, so I didn't realise... Did you say you've only watched 2 episodes of season 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I thought you'd watched more.
No. I think I got to maybe the third... I don't think I even finished the 3rd episode. That's how badly everyone pissed me off. So watching Saving Grace with no context whatsoever, I was extremely confused. And I felt like I was expecting kind of like a Judd Begins kind of episode once I figured out what was going on, and it didn't go into the depth because I assumed that the depth comes from the rest of the show.
The rest of it, yeah, the context.
So, no, even after watching Saving Grace, I would now die for Judd. I would quite happily listen to Jim Parrick read a phone book. That is not strong enough to overcome my obscene hatred for Owen Strand to make me watch the rest of the show.
See, I can't remember, like, I know Owen must have been in that episode, but all I remember from that episode is the Grace and Judd
he's
stuff,
vaguely...
Which is why I was just like...
He's vaguely there in the waiting room.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, if you didn't know that Owen Strand was a thing...
Unfortunately, I do know that Owen Strand is a thing, and I'm having real difficulty separating that knowledge. And I'm pretty sure that even if I just watched Hold the Line, and then I watched Saving Grace, and then I decided to go back and start watching season 1, I would probably still be in the same predicament where I'd get to the 2nd episode and just like, fuck this dude, fuck Liv Tyler, I'm not watching any more of this.
Literally, it was Liv Tyler was what turned me. Like, I can deal with Owen Strand. Like, I can tune him out. I'm used to Parks and Rec. I don't hate Owen Strand as much as a lot of other people do. He's annoying, but like, I tend to watch TV like this while I'm doing other things anyway. So when Owen's storylines were on, I just sort of tuned out. And so he didn't annoy me as much as, like, I've seen so many people, and like Bex obviously included, passionately hate Owen Strand. And I'm like, he's not that bad. And then, like, when you think logically, I'm like, yeah, okay, he is that bad. But I just didn't pay any attention to him. But I love all the other characters so much. But the first season, like, it was all Owen Strand and fucking Michelle, whatever her fucking name is, Liv Tyler. Yeah. And I hate her so much. She had no emotion. Like, she just talks in monotone constantly. She does dumb shit, and I'm just like, I don't care about your story. Like, you get dropped in halfway through her story.
Yeah.
And they're trying to, like, build suspense, but I do not give a fuck about this character enough to have any suspense. Like, there is no suspense. I'm like, I don't care about your dead sister. Like, I do not care about you at all. Because she's just not a character that you can, like, empathize with, because she just does dumb shit all the time.
I think I was giving Liv Tyler a pass because I loved her so much in Lord of the Rings. So I would, like, and I remember going through a phase where, because I loved her in Lord of the Rings, I watched a lot of her, sort of her back catalogue. She's not
interesting. I've seen her
not
in, like,
the best.
one thing
she's
before.
not the best actress. I think she very much, most of her career is based on who her father is and her looks, not on her actual
it's
talent.
very nepotism. Yeah.
And she's beautiful, but, like, every role is pretty much the same, except for when she's playing an elvish princess. So, like, I didn't really enjoy her character, but she did not inspire the full fiery depths of hell hatred that Rob Lowe did.
So it's interesting that she, like, made me want to murder everyone, and you had that with Owen Strand.
So,
that, like, you wanted to.
I think it's because like, with Liv Tyler's character, it's kind of, well, that's just, you know, bad writing and bad acting. It's not necessarily her fault. But with Rob Lowe, it's definitely 100% he came in as, like, he was the big name that they were building Lone Star around, much like they built the Los Angeles one around Peter Krauser and Angela Bassett. But it's like it went to Rob Lowe's head, and he's dictated. Like, imagine if Peter...
I think he's just like that.
Imagine if Peter Krauser went, like, every single time there is an emergency, I have to be the one to save the day. I have to have all of the lines. I have to be the big damn hero. Every single time, I have to be the best. That's what's happened with Rob Lowe and Owen Strand. Even if a storyline doesn't involve him, he still finds a way to make himself be the big damn hero in that storyline. And it's it's like, it's the Rob Lowe vehicle, and I do not like it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So it's like when I said, like that scene where Owen goes, like, it's too dangerous to send anybody else up there. I would go myself. Like, 100%, I could see that happening in Los Angeles with Bobby, going, it's too dangerous to send anybody else.
But Bobby seems so much more humble.
Yes!
Yeah.
There's, like, this humble... He doesn't make a big deal.
Bobby's backstory isn't like, oh, I survived 9/11, so I'm invincible. It's, oh, fuck, I killed my family.
Yeah, it's a very different vibe around Peter Krauser and his portrayal of Bobby, and Rob Lowe and his portrayal of Owen Strand. And it pains me, because once I found out about the existence of Lone Star, I'm like, Rob Lowe, I love Rob Lowe. That's Sam Seaborn. That's my comfort blowbo from The West Wing. I loved him in The West Wing. And then to find out that I absolutely hated him in this show was such a body blow.
Yeah.
Oh. So if you wanted to avoid, like, the first season and just start at the beginning of season 2, would that make any sense at all?
Like, I think you'd still have to watch the pilot.
Yeah, because that's the...
But then you could probably go straight into, like, from the pilot... You would miss a lot of the build-up between TK and Carlos, though. And, like, Talos is one of the big things about Lone Star. So, rumour has it that Tim Minear wanted to do Buddy and wasn't allowed to. So, it was like, well, fuck you guys, and went and made Talos on Lone Star.
But the irony is that it's the same network. Like, it's not like it's not like he shopped around and went to another network. It's still
but because he introduced them as gay characters.
Yeah, they were initially gay. It's not like a straight guy.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so he, like, was allowed to. So that's the rumor. I don't know if it's actually been confirmed anywhere.
We need to tie Tim Minear down and get some questions out of him. And I think that's the other...
So many.
That's the other thing that pisses me off about Lone Star, is how in your face it is about its diversity. Like, they set it up and, like, this is going to be the most diverse house you have ever seen. And so they've got this range of characters who all have a very specific reason why they are in that house, and then most of their storylines is, the ones that I saw. So I saw episode 2, which I think is about Mawani being kicked out of her mosque because she's too popular on Instagram.
Right.
So from what I saw, her storyline was very much about her being a Muslim woman. Was that the episode where her hijab slipped? And they showed, like,
I think so, in the grain solo.
Yeah, and they showed her hair on the news, and so the elders of the mosque kicked her out. Yeah. I'm just like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like as I said, I hated the first season. Hated it. If I didn't have my ex there telling me to keep watching, I would not, like, I probably would have given up. She assured me it got better. It does get better. It's still not the best, but it definitely gets better, and I was definitely sad to have it cancelled. Because I do miss, not Owen Strand, but I do miss the rest of the characters. Like, I miss Talos, I miss Mawani, I miss Strickland, I miss Proby, I miss Tommy, and I miss Nancy. Like, Nancy isn't in this episode or even mentioned. She's, like, a background character pretty much in season 1. But by the end of it, she's, like, a part of them. She's the other paramedic. Like, aside from...
Dead paramedic Rosewater?
Tim, the dead guy, yeah. She's the other one. And, yeah, she's just in the background and then, like, actually basically calls the show out for having her in the background, and then she stops being in the background. Because, like, the Fireys are all very, like, very boys club. And then, spoilers for, like, later in Lone Star, but TK joins the paramedics and they don't like him. And he's like, but, like, why? And they're like, well, yes, you're one of us now, but you still hang out with them. You still eat lunch with them. You still, go to games night with them, and you don't integrate yourself with us. And how are we supposed to trust you if you are still one of them? And so they integrate the paramedics, and yeah, they become, like, the whole little family. But yeah, Nancy's just such a good character. Like, she's so untraditional, and she's amazing, and I love Nancy. I love her so much. I would die for her. I kept saying in the final season, I was like, if they do anything to her, I'm quitting.
Well, that's the danger with characters like that, I suppose.
So interestingly, Lone Star got cancelled by Fox around the same time that the OG 911 got cancelled. And while ABC picked up 911, it didn't want to have anything to do with Lone Star. And I just find it hilarious because at the time the line that they were giving was, well, we have one firefighter show, we don't need another one. So Fox allowed Lone Star just to end. And now all of a sudden, ABC is premiering a brand new 911.
What's that all about?
But,
another firefighter show.
But when you look at the cast, they're all white.
Oh, really?
So it's like ABC didn't want the diverse ones.
No, they're not all white. I'm pretty sure there's one that's not.
Oh.
Well, you've got Chris O'Donnell, Jessica Capshaw, and Leanne Rimes.
Oh, they're
the
three
big names
they're
throwing around.
Ones.
I'm sure that there are other people, but they're like the people that they're saying come watch this show for are white. And they're all like from Grey's Anatomy too, so that's also weird.
Literally, I made a joke that that the casting people from 911 Nashville were just like waiting outside the Grey's Anatomy office and sifting through their dumpsters. They're like, "Oh, you're done with this? I'll take that now."
Yeah.
When's that start? It must be fairly soon.
Must be soon if they're dropping AI trailers on their social media.
No, not till 911 OG comes back. So October.
Okay.
They've only just started filming
it. So yes, that's the end.
Hey, we get to watch Dr. Odyssey in a few seasons too.
Oh really? Did they?
No.
Yep.
No.
They sure did.
No.
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 It's still a crossover. It still counts.
No.
It does. It's
No.
Okay. We don't have to.
It's literally just Athena.
It's just Athena.
But it's still a crossover. It's still
yes.
The storyline starts in 911 and ends in Dr. Odyssey, so it's still counts.
But maybe we can just let it end in Dr. Odyssey. Let's deal with this crossover first. Like,
Okay, we've dealt with it. It's done.
we've
Do you want to say anything else about it, or can we actually sign off?
Sorry for the fans of Lone Star. Bex just hates it.
I don't hate.
I'm gonna cuddle my blawbows.
I don't hate it. It's unfortunately just my hatred for Owen tends to eclipse everything else, including Jim Parrick. Yeah.
Poor Judd.
Poor Judd. But yes.
Justice for Judd. Justice for Grace.
Apologies if I've completely ruined your favourite TV show. You had to have known that I was going to go off, though. If you've listened to any other... Although maybe you haven't. Maybe you just saw that we did Lone Star and decided to listen, in which case I'm very sorry if this was your first introduction to... Well, me.
We should maybe put a disclaimer at the start that's just like, if you enjoy Lone Star and enjoy this episode,
don't listen to
just
this one.
Filter out Bex.
Filter me out. Fuck, I'm like 3/4 of the episode. I don't shut up. People who watch That Weewoo Show normally should have known that this was coming.
You've made your feelings clear before. All right, let us know what you thought about this. You're welcome to rant.
Does this episode make you want to watch Lone Star?
Yeah, actually, I'd be interested to know if anyone else has watched just this episode. And then, do you now want to go and watch more?
Did you watch this episode and did you start Lone Star based on this episode?
Yeah.
Did you not start? Did you watch this episode and then just continue with 911, but now you're curious and want to go back and start Lone Star? Did we inspire you to start watching? Which I don't know how.
Because it doesn't feel like that.
Did you miss Carlos as much as the rest of us in this episode?
Let us know. There are a myriad different ways that you can let us know.
What do we actually have coming up in the LA version of the show?
So Eddie, Buck, and Hen return to Los Angeles just in time for Athena to investigate a murder during a neighborhood block party and the 118 racing to defuse a bomb threat. Meanwhile, Chimney has a hard time keeping secrets when Maddie and Buck's parents come to town.
Oh, that's right. I'm going to go back with that storyline again.
Yeah, we get that storyline. Triggers for the next episode. We have bad parenting, blackmail, a dogged threat, poisoned but it survives, gun violence, and threat of mass violence at a workplace via a bomb. Also, shirtless Chimney, in case that's a trigger for anybody, or maybe just a warning that Alice and I are going to be unable to talk for a little bit in the next episode. Because
I'm not going to know what happens in that scene.
Yeah,
I think Keddy must have had an extra in his contract saying you must take your shirt off in every episode.
Kenny was having a good season. Let's just not argue.
I don't know what was in the water for season 4, but I think they need to give it back to Kenny because he needs to be shirtless more, please.
Yeah. He's older now.
I don't care. Man's still built.
We're not complaining.
Nope.
Yes. Let us know what you thought of this episode. As we said already, you can leave us a comment on Spotify or on the episode's post on thatweewooshow.com. Thanks for listening this week, and we will talk to you next time about... We're going back to the OG.
Going back to LA.
For episode 4.
But not Disneyland.
Not Disneyland. That is the bad place. That will be episode 4, 911, What's Your Grievance? See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
911 is a fictional show, but many of the situations portrayed happen in the real world too. If any of the topics we've discussed in this episode have affected you, please know you're not alone. You can call or text numbers in your country for help. Just Google crisis support in your location to find out the number. If you enjoy our podcast, you can help us out by leaving us a review on Spotify or your preferred listening app, and by sharing our social media posts. Find out more at thatweewooshow.com.